Okay, welcome in, you guys. Go ahead and tap the screen. Go ahead and tap the screen. Welcome in, welcome in. We are about to talk the Fat Joe lawsuit. Don't want too much of the details of the Fat Joe to get in the way of our Diddy discussion in the afternoons on during the week. So let's go ahead and tap into the Fat Joe conversation because we are going to be really busy with the Diddy talk this week. Lots to cover, because the trial is kind of rushing along a little faster than expected. So let's go take a look at that deadline, or the original deadline, right? So originally, he was trying to wrap it up by July 4th, right? And, pretty much we kind of almost expected testimony would go almost to the 3rd of July. In the Diddy trial, well, that's not happening. So I figured we will just cover Fat Joe, get this Fat Joe talk in. We need to get this Fat Joe talk in because there are a lot of details. That way, when we jump into it tomorrow, we can kind of highlight some of the things that we talk about today. You know how we do throughout the week, you guys, right? And it's the weekend, so most of the time throughout the week, you guys are at work, can't really tap in and join in the conversation. So let's go ahead and have a little moment where we can all talk about it. Let's see if they're letting me get it over there. Nah, absolutely not. They're like, no, you can't share it in stories anymore. All right, I have to lean on you guys to. Thank you for those taps. I appreciate that. I have to lean on you guys. I have to trust that you guys will get this over. Let me get some of that watermelon. Sorry, I had to drink some water from the watermelon. Okay. All right, so let's get into it. We will talk about, is this leading to RICO? Pretty much where this is more than likely headed. Something has to happen with this lawsuit. Either it continues forward or it can kind of get closed down with a real quick settlement. As fast as one can answer. There are some responses from the Fat Joe camp, so we will talk about how the Fat Joe camp is responding and go into kind of everything that I've been able to pull up with, within reason of how we're able to cover it. For those who do not know, I am Coach D Shields. We talk current events. I am a relationship coach. I am a relationship life coach. I have my book links in the bio. Also, you can connect with me on YouTube. You can listen to the podcast in detail. Some of the talks that we've been doing on current events, you can follow all of those under the podcast link and join my community on YouTube as well. If you would like to listen to the podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, What D Says the podcast, I've been doing this since 2010. For those who may be curious, I've had everything from everyday person interviews to celebrity interviews. This is Conversations with D, and things that I do. This is the world that I live in. This is the talk that I do. I most recently graduated as a paralegal last year. So hopefully all of these great things will help you. Trust me, in some spaces at some point, psychology major, Christian ministry minor was my college education, as well as business. I also studied child development and social work. For all of those who want to know a little bit of background, hopefully that all helps for those who wanted to know. All right. And I think I said that. I write books available. My books are available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. Thank you for coming by. I appreciate it. So many people tuned in and stopping in. I appreciate you. Nelrose, Ellis, Laura, Warrior, Byron, Judith Divine. I'm just saying thank yous real quick. Ty, Northwest. Hey, it's Miss Westy, Northwesty. Is that her? No, of course not. You guys know better than that. Okay, Israel, Terry, Share, Lisa, Roberta, Q, Terry. Okay, thank you for all those and so many more. I know I probably missed your names. Thank you so much. And let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so listen. Fat Joe is currently facing, let me know, tap in and let me know if you can hear me. If you can hear me clearly, also let me know. Say, yes, we can hear you, or something like that in the comments. Yes, you can hear me, and we will go ahead and get started with the details and the information because there is a lot. And it also makes me wonder how closely they are going to attach this to the Diddy camp. And if they do, what the outcome, thank you so much for that, Lisa, what that will be. Hey, thank you so much for that. V, are you still doing hair, V? I was so excited. I was glad I was able to catch it live. You guys follow V, connect and follow with her. I like her lives. Definitely authentic and real vibes over there, you guys. I pinned the comment so you can know how to follow her as well. Okay. Thank you for coming by my live also. All right. So listen, here we go. Fat Joe is currently facing a $20 million civil RICO lawsuit. Okay, this lawsuit was filed by his former hype man, Terrence Dixon, T.A. Dixon, right? So, alleging serious claims of exploitation, AB, and SA misconduct. Okay, the details of the lawsuit are is this so much as I've been able to pull up. The plaintiff, of course, is Terrence Dixon. He worked closely with the rapper Fat Joe for many years. He filed a Fed lawsuit in the Southern District of New York. Ouch. That's where I went. Ouch. Okay. As soon as I saw that that was filed there, that's where I went. Ouch. And if you know, you know, right? So, filed in the Southern District of New York. Now, at this time, the timing of this lawsuit prior to closing arguments, prior to the defense presenting their arguments, the timing of this prior to jury going into deliberation on the Diddy trial, prior to the verdict on the jury. This should make Sean P. Diddy Combs very nervous. If you are a follower of, the culture and just kind of seen these guys, they've been around each other for a long, long time. And that little clique of people, you are of business, doing business, and kind of that 1%er kind of movements in entrepreneurship and rap and hip hop and production. It's been DJ Khaled, it's been Diddy, it's been Fat Joe, it's been Jay-Z, it's been Kanye. Those are close circles that these individuals are in. So when you see the Jay-Z lawsuit that popped up, and then you see Diddy in the lawsuit from Cassie, which triggered the raids, which triggered the arrest, which triggered the not able to get out on bond, which got us to the May 5th trial that we've been covering. When you see that, and then they come for Fat Joe, Khaled, can someone, what y'all want to say to Khaled? Do you guys want to say anything to DJ Khaled? I'm sure you have some motivational thoughts that you can give him as he gets ready, because it's coming. It's coming. I've said that so many times over the past few weeks, and now everything I keep telling y'all is keep unfolding. Are you going to continue to listen to me now? Are you planning to continue? Thank you so much for that, B. Thank you for the how are yous. Thank you guys for helping me reach my how are you goals. I appreciate that. Thank you for sending that gift. Thank you so much. So listen. Okay, so he's accusing Fat Joe. Let's talk about Fat Joe for a moment. Fat Joe, known as in the lawsuit, he's going by his, birth name. Okay, Joseph Antonio Cartagena. Did I say his name right? You guys help me with the accent. I hope I didn't mess up. Cartagena, of orchestrating a criminal operation involving coercive labor, exploitation, financial fraud, sexual manipulation, VIL, intimidation, psych coercion. Okay, so let's go back over here. We already had this conversation before, but let's open the notes one more time, because we had to do this during the Diddy trial. So let's go ahead. It's good that we have this in our notes. We're going to understand RICO charges one more time, and then you're going to kind of put it together. Are they going to land at RICO when they take a look at what they're unfolding in the Diddy trial, looking at what they have going on with Diddy, what they have going on with KK, and now adding this whole Fat Joe thing? Will they combine them? Is it all together? Let's define RICO one more time. So again, RICO stands for the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organization Act. It's a United States federal law. It was enacted in 1970 to combat organized crime. It allows authorities to prosecute individuals involved in crime enterprises, even if they didn't directly commit the crime themselves. Okay, got to say crime because you know how this algorithm likes to act, right? To be charged under RICO, a person must have engaged in. Now let's go back up for a minute before I read that part. Let's go back over here to Fat Joe, to the accusation from Terrence T.A. Dixon. He's accusing Fat Joe of coercive labor, exploitation, fraud, financial, okay, sex manipulation, violent intimidation, psych coercion. Who else did that? Oh, Cassie to Diddy. Who else did that? Oh, Rod to Diddy. Who else did that? Now Terrence Dixon to Fat Joe. Who else did that? One of the girls, some girl, even though it was shut down, but she accused Jay-Z. You guys see how they can arrive at this whole RICO thing? If they really want to take it there, they could take it there, right? To be charged under RICO, a person must have engaged in this pattern of racketeering activity. It includes crimes like fraud, bribery, money laundering, drug trafficking, and unaliving others. The law was originally designated to target MAF people. They use it right now against crime organizations, including corporate, political, and clearly hip hop. Okay, so we'll come back over there if we need to open that up. If anyone needs to break that down, let me know. Do you think with these lawsuits and the individuals involved that they are painting a picture slowly to the public? Do you see it? Do you see it? Who wants to hear about the Texas law that says say that this claim was filed in Texas? Well, Abbott just signed over the weekend something into law that Fat Joe would, listen, Fat Joe, if they were to pick you up, let me find the one. I'm going to find it real quick. He just put one in place right now here in Texas. If they pick you up, because they did pick a PIM up in Texas, okay? And with the new law, let me find it for you because I want to quote it for you exactly as it is. So he signed so many. That's why it's taking me so long to get through to it, okay? State agencies. Oh man, Abbott has so many. I think it was 300 or so. Correctional officers, barriers of new residents. I just came across this dang on law a minute ago. Anyway, basically it's going to be one where the pimps can't get out. Can I say it like that? Are you guys okay if I say it like that? Or do you need me to go a little and find this law to be exact on what I mean? The pimp can't go home. If they pick the pimp up, the pimp can't go home. Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys so much for joining. Okay, so if this was filed against Fat Joe, and you'll see why I said that, because unlike Diddy's being accused of grown people doing grown stuff and doing it way too much, right? That's the simplistic way of saying what Sean P. Diddy Combs is being accused of, right? In addition to some other things, right? Being out of control with it and having the VIL intimidation going on, right? So that's how he landed at RICO, right? But there were no minors. But Jeffrey Epstein was accused of these very same similar kind of things. And he did have minors, and he was along with Ghislaine Maxwell. And then Jeffrey went down, Ghislaine went down, Jeffrey took a permanent exit, right? Well, here it comes to Sean P. Diddy Combs. He's good, right? As far as some of this, because he doesn't have the minors, right? Well, it gets a little bad for Joe. Okay? So here are the allegations. Dixon is claiming that he was subjected to years of AB, including being forced to be into over 4,000 sexual acts to maintain his job and position within Fat Joe's enterprise. Coercive labor, exploitation just got explained in that accusation. Sexual manipulation is explained in that accusation. Vial intimidation, intimidation. Y'all know what I'm trying to say without saying it on this app, right? And psychological coercion. That's all within that claim. Okay. Thank you guys for keeping it respectful. Look like some of you guys got we're just not talking about Eric Trump. Hey Heather, thank you for coming in. I appreciate that. Not used to seeing me on a Sunday, huh? All right. Thank you for that. You guys, come on. What does Eric Trump have to do with this? You never know what those comments are gonna say, right? Okay, so again, so that's the allegation. So T.A. Dixon is saying, look, the hype man accusing Fat Joe in a claim, $20 million lawsuit. If this, like I said, this lawsuit, what tends to happen, Cassie files a lawsuit, then he gets on Instagram and cries, says I didn't do it. Next thing you know, he settles 24 hours later with Cassie. And then a few months later, by March, they were raiding 2 homes. When they raided 2 homes, by September, Diddy was clink locked up. When they clink locked him up, they said, "Can he get out? No. Can he get out? No. Can he get out?" And then he said, "Fine, I'll wait for a trial." He pushed my trial, rushed my trial. Prosecution listened to him. Diddy prosecution made a mistake. That's why it's all sloppy and all over the place with details. And they rushed the trial. They give it to him May 5th. And now within 4 to 5 more days, we are going to know the fate of Sean P. Diddy Combs. That's the new update, right? So here we go again. So we start with Fat Joe. T.A. Dixon, here he goes. He comes, $20 million lawsuit. Fat Joe has to make some decisions, right? It's going to be, I was going to say something, I'm not going to say that. Only because I'm on my weight loss journey and I wouldn't want y'all to say that to me. But I was going to say something. I'm so glad I caught myself. Because I was going to say that's the decision between a burger and whatever. Anyway, I'm not going to say that. Let me leave that alone. I love how I could correct me just so y'all don't have to do it in the comments. Okay. So anyway, so he has some decisions to make this weekend. Okay. The grocery aisle is going to have to get real lean in order to make some decisions about paying this dude off. Okay. Am I the only one laughing? Why do I crack myself up with the most silliest stuff? Okay, so Dixon claims that he was subjected to those years of AB, like I said, including him claiming allegedly that he was forced into over 4,000 SMEGS acts. This is in his lawsuit to maintain the hip position. So you do this or your job. You have to go and do this or your job. 4,000 times is the claim. He alleges that he was deprived of at least $600,000 in royalties. So now you have my financials going on. So y'all do have a whole alleged RICO thing operation going on. What are you talking about? Where my money at? What are you talking about? Where my money at? So now he's not even giving him his money. Dixon alleges that he was deprived of at least $600,000 in royalties and was systematically erased from the creative successes that he contributed to. Say what? Say how now? You mean like the 10 albums that Diddy promised Cassie, right? These are the damages that Dixon is seeking. He's seeking up to $20 million. When you go to your attorney and you know you're dealing with the likes of Fat Joe, DJ Khaled, Diddy, Jay-Z, whoever come next, Snoop. Don't put up to. You need to say $20 million plus. They got it like that. It's gonna cost a lot. But if you know that these things actually happen to you, don't put up to, because your attorney is gonna take up to 10 million of that. So you may want to ask for a little bit more, especially if you need this reimbursement of the missing 600,000 royalties, in addition to being compensated for what they put you through. So don't go up to, say, no, sir, you need to say 20 million plus, right? But anyway, work with your attorney how you want to. I'm just a paralegal giving an opinion. Okay, so Dixon is seeking up to $20 million in damages for the alleged exploitation and AB that he endured during his time working for Fat Joe. We'll go into a little bit more of that on the sources where we pulled that from in just a few, okay? Anyone need the sources? Let me know and I'll grab those sources for you, okay? Now, here's the counterclaim. Fat Joe comes with a counterclaim. So he says it wasn't me. Oh, no, he didn't say that, but here's what he said. In response to Dixon's allegations, Fat Joe has now filed a defamation lawsuit against T.A. Dixon. He filed a defamation lawsuit claiming that the accusations are false, that the accusation, who does this sound like? Who does this sound like? Who did this? Who did this? And it was actually very successful, because after he filed that defamation and that clapback, that one was dropped just a few weeks and we've been engulfed in the Sean P. Diddy Combs. But while all that was going on, Jay-Z popped back and said, who? Say I did what again? Say it to me one more time that I did that. I don't know this woman, is what Jay-Z clapped back with, and they ended up having to drop it. So Fat Joe's like, well, let me try my hands at that. So Fat Joe has filed a defamation lawsuit against Dixon, claiming that the accusations are false and have caused significant harm to his reputation. He also is alleging that Dixon's claims are wholly fabricated, and he is seeking damages for the defamation. Now, I found this to be like, wow that this happened to Fat Joe after he opened his mouth. Oh, the the computer popped it up, said, make sure you credit me. All right, so some of that came from All Hip Hop and also from the rap. Is that helpful to you guys? Hopefully that is helpful to you guys as to where the top, where the damages were sought, allegations, and the plaintiff actual details for their claim came from. All right. So then let me take you over here somewhere where I heard Fat Joe cutting up. Okay. Hold on. That's not it. That's my intro. So Fat Joe was over in these streets talking before this lawsuit was filed. Who wants the tea? Who wants the tea? Who wants what I overheard him saying? And when I overheard him saying that, and I just think that you guys are getting so loose-lived celebrities. I don't know if y'all were clearly aware that the world was coming to an end. Y'all probably knew before we knew because y'all had that inner loop, right? So maybe y'all knew the world was coming to an end. Y'all knew it's just that's it. So y'all like, okay, well, we'll just get on the podcast and start telling all our business. Well, while you're on the podcast telling your business, there are people listening to you going, listen, exactly what did you just say? Oh, that's how Fat Joe gonna play? That's how he is going to go in. Heather said, me. I got you. So he's just talking on these podcasts, going on and on, having so much to say, and it's being captured. So let me pull what I captured. Where he was saying, I'm not going to pull one of them long ones. I'm going to give you a really fast one where he was giving his opinion on Diddy. So let's pull it up just like this. Hold on. He decided to talk about Diddy, right? And what he feels like is going on. And I want to tell you how long ago. So he decided to give his comment about the Diddy allegations, right? And what his opinion was. I kind of felt like he was kind of a little bit all over the place with his opinion of, if this is the one that I watched. So let me know if you can hear it. All right, hold on. Let me make sure this is the one. Because he's just kind of like, he's like, yeah, well, I mean, Diddy didn't do it, but let me just let y'all listen to it. Hold on. I'm sorry. Why am I like this? Okay, hold on. Okay. All right, so he's just basically, he talks about he's praying for him. But hold on. This is the question being asked to him. Do you think caused all this? Because you praying for him, you praying for the victims. Okay, the first thing that he said, if you didn't hear that, when he was asked the question, Fat Joe says, well, look, Diddy, he upset a lot of people. He said he peed off a lot of people. I can't say that because then when we're talking about Diddy, that's not a good way to use that. What's a good... He issed off a lot of people because I can't say it the other way. So Diddy upset a lot of people is what Fat Joe says, right? That's his answer. And then he says is his response to what's going on with Sean P. Diddy Combs. And then Fat Joe goes, I'm also praying for him. But then listen. But I never really seen this type of thing. Of course you did. Same thing with home. Every time I think, got Muslim, 17 Muslim brothers and sisters that died in the Bronx from the fire. I call them. He said, okay. So basically, before he get my algorithm all messed up with the way he talks, he says that basically, I never seen, and did he do anything? That's Fat Joe talking. And then he's like, I never seen Hov do nothing. Only thing I ever seen these brothers do, it's just they were giving money to what happened in the Bronx, and then they gave money to what happened in Puerto Rico, and they gave everybody a turkey on Thanksgiving. He just kind of has like, look, I don't know who keeps telling these celebrities. I think I saw Bill Bellamy on one of the podcasts. I think I saw Bill Bellamy talking to Charlamagne. Bill Bellamy, if you don't stop walking around telling them that they can give a Thanksgiving turkey and everything is going to be okay, that they can walk around and do anything that they want to as long as they're giving Thanksgiving turkeys out because the public will forgive them. The feds don't care about the public. That's a news flash. Anybody agree with me? Do the feds give an ELF about what the public think about any kind of charity that these hip hop stars are doing? The feds don't give a damn. The feds don't give a dang, okay? They, Anita, listen, they don't care. They can care less about what these celebrities are giving away. So these celebrities walk around with their charity on their chest, and I actually can't stand that. I don't know how you all are, but I love that quiet charity. I just have so much respect for quiet charity. I don't like when people walk around and put the camera all in front of the homeless and put their money and say, look what I'm doing, giving to this poor soul. I can't stand that. Just give. Like, you guys could silently give right here on the live. You could just give me some good gift or whatever. I don't have to, nobody has to go out. When I'm on live and I give a gift, I don't require you to say anything to me when I give it. That's just quiet charity, right? You just do what you do, and that's between you and whatever your heart feels, right? You may have meditated that morning. You may have seen something and it touched your heart and you felt like you needed to be a part of that. I've just seen 3 different people that I know, their spouses. I'm a widow. They lost their spouses over the last week. I began to go into the thoughts of charity and how can I help? What can I do? Right? We all are impacted by giving in some kind of way, something personal, right? So going and I gave some turkeys away. Can I tell you about some quiet charity for a minute? Remember Prince? Oh, God. R.I.P. Prince. It is not until after Prince is gone that we hear about everything. Prince totally paid for Spike Lee's Malcolm X production of Malcolm X. Paid for the entire production of Malcolm X. Prince did that quietly. Not give me my accolades. I'm going to tell everybody I'm doing this while I'm alive. And that's just one of the millions of charity stories from Prince. He does things like everybody talks about, oh, Hov, he did this and Jay-Z did this and Jay-Z did that. You know who quietly gives? His wife. People were protesting during one of the major marches. I won't tell you which one, so you don't go all into your Google this or that. It just quietly became known that she quietly went to every one of those jails and bonded out protesters. She paid what, and she didn't choose this color, that color. She didn't care what nationality they were. She just paid and bonded them out. That's quiet charity. I don't need anyone to pat me on the back. That. So for Fat Joe to say his response to Sean P. Diddy Combs is, I never seen anything. I never seen none of that. And then T.A. Dixon comes over here and goes, well, actually, Cassie is not the only one, and then files a whole lawsuit after you got on one of these podcasts talking about, man, and then using that charity voice, that empathetic charity voice. It's like you could run a whole funeral home. Anybody know about the funeral home hustle? How they keep that prayed within God voice, and they just feel so loving and so charitable and so like they care. And then at Miss Shields, that is going to be. What was it? One of the things for me when I was burying my husband, um, the military, of course, is paying for so much of the funeral, right? But then there's also this moment where I have to come in and for all these additional expenses, and I'm like, okay, I want the chrome casket. I don't want just like a basic casket. I want the chrome casket. And then I decided to put the seal, the eagle seal on engraved it on the casket, right? And then I also decided to put on there the scripture, no, greater is no man, what's the scripture, you guys, than one who lays his life down for his friend, right? And I put that all on there, and they're like, oh, yes. And here's another thing you could do. By the time they got done with me, it's like 2,000, 3,000 additional dollars. The military was like, okay, we got you here. We're going to cap what we're going to do over here. Everything else is out of your own pocket. Okay. Because so I can't stand when people use that charitable, I'm playing you and I'm manipulating you in your face voice. So that's what I don't like about the interview. But did I interrupt that? Hold on. Let me get back to it. So he goes on to say that, and then he talks about how then we all, I watch Hove and Diddy and myself, we all dropped water in Puerto Rico when the United States wouldn't even do it. Okay. Okay. Yes, Jazz Queen Bee gives all the time, right? That period. All the time, quietly. Doesn't need accolades at all. Just does what she does. Um, Valerie says, Wicked will not go unpunished. I'm telling you what's done in the dark, right? Right, Heather, girl, right? All right, so let's get back to the allegations, but I just thought y'all should know that his lawsuit kind of came like after he said that. His lawsuit came really quickly, right? And sometimes those kind of things can trigger those working within your camp. Like, wait a minute, no, sir, you're not going to be on podcast acting like it's just Diddy. And then the C.A. Dixon came with what he did. $20 million lawsuit Fat Joe is looking at. So in response to Dixon's allegations, Fat Joe has filed a defamation lawsuit against Dixon, claiming that the accusations are false and have caused significant harm to his reputation. He alleges that Dixon's claims are wholly fabricated and seeks damages for the defamation. Mm. Here's the implications on all this. Okay, let's just go throw in a little context and kind of just see, can we go like what's going to happen? They say this legal battle highlights serious issues within the entertainment industry. Have we not? For those of you that have been tuning in to me talking this talk for the last, since May 5th, we have been on it since the beginning, week 1, jury selection of the trial. We have been talking about this, right? This legal battle highlights serious issues that are happening within the entertainment industry regarding exploitation and AB. The outcome of these lawsuits could have significant implications for the parties involved, as well as looking at a broader conversation about the labor practices in the music industry. You can't get past what happened with Liam. Running around the hotel, they're trying to get me. They're trying to get me. Did you guys look at the label attached, the music label attached to Liam? Did you guys look at that? There's a problem. There's a problem. We might call a thing so that we can get past it, fix it, work on it. There's a star in one of your homes has a future star. Somebody has a talented child going into music. You want this stuff in check before your child goes into that world, do you not? So it's time to just get this stuff all under, whoever has been in charge. If you're not doing it right, pass the baton. You saw TD Jakes pass the baton. I don't know the reasons why and everything behind why he did, but when you have all this noise going on, and with you, a lot of CEOs do that all the time, right? Like, what if Red Lobster hadn't have switched? Would Red Lobster be that great? $5 drinks? Like he said, forget the free shrimp. I'm gonna hook y'all up with $5 drinks. Have you seen the new what is it boil bag thing with the Red Lobster? And then discipline. That guy is the child is so disciplined. Like he saved the likes of PF Chang's. He brought them back to life. Now he has successfully almost brought Red Lobster back. Sometimes you have to switch the persons in charge. So why is hip hop any different? It is time to move out of the way. Get those old heads out the way. If you were in the 70s and 80s, I'm sorry. Wait, no, well, let me not say that because Clive Davis is about that old. So if you were in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, 2000s, it is time for you to pass the baton to these younger people who have full respect for themselves as well as professionalism for the industry. They're hungry. They want it. They have ideas of how to make it better. They want to show respect for the women. You know which young person to choose. I should say that. There are some that are doing the total opposite of everything that I just said to you. But yeah, basically choose the right ones. Get out of the way before you guys ruin music altogether. You saw what the judge said about R. Kelly? R. Kelly is like, I need to get home. They're trying to take me. I'm telling you that they're trying to take me. Well, they're like, okay, put him in solitary confinement so we can figure out what's going on. He's been moved to Carolina and something's going on. He feels like somebody's trying to take him out. He's saying the same things that Liam was saying before Liam landed on the ground from the balcony. R. Kelly's pretty much saying the same thing, just not free to run around all around up and down the hotel, right? And you're seeing the outcome of what happened that day at the hotel. Instead of getting him to some medical attention, they took Liam back to his room. And when he went to his room, he's like, I told you they're coming for me. And he was just like all over the place. And then he went over the rail. And the hotel is definitely having to answer to that sin, because they are seen. There's a video of them, they're being seen forcing him back into his room. Right. So here's R. Kelly put into into confinement. But the judge said, look, I don't know what's going on, and I don't know who's trying to get you. I'll get to the bottom of it. But she denied the request for home. She said, no, you can't go home. You can't go home. I'm sorry. I wish I could send you home. She didn't say that. But you can't go home, but you can get in solitary confinement, you know. And that's it, right? Um, I'm not understanding that person, Mod. Who are you talking about, Water Suds? Please explain that to me, because please explain it to me. Please explain it to me. Use your words. Use your words. Use your words where I can understand you just a little bit better, right? So basically, Fat Joe responds and comes back like, "No, that's not me. I didn't do that. I have nothing. The person has an agenda, and it's not true." Yet the person that's filing says TA is like, this did happen to me. Over 4,000 times happened to me. In addition to my royalties are not being given to me. I'm owed 600,000. This guy owes me $600,000 in royalties. He hasn't been paying me. He hasn't been putting my name on it, contributing to talent that I've been doing behind the scenes. Now, let me ask you, how familiar are you guys with Fat Joe? Where have you heard that accusation before when it comes to Fat Joe? Where have you heard that before? Who else said that? Let me see how tapped in you guys. How tapped in are you to the industry? Who else said the same thing about just give me my money because Fat Joe did not give the money? Who else? Who else was out there saying the same thing? I'm just curious. Anybody know? Mace to Diddy, yes, true. But who did it to Fat Joe? Who told Fat Joe, where's my money? Correct, correct, Rosfa. Mace definitely to Diddy. He definitely said, just give me my money because you know you owe it to me. Right? Um, who else was out there that I saw also? I saw somebody else upset. Okay, so a lot of times I can't play. When you go to these hip hop podcasts, they talk so recklessly. I can't play the audio because it just gets bad, right? Because they don't control their words, and now YouTube, and there you go. Who guessed it? Who guessed it? Who guessed it? There you go. Pinning that. Make sure you follow those that I pin. Chef, Delilah, listen, Big Pun. So when you see Ashanti, when you see Big Pun saying it, now Big Pun is gone. Now you see T.A. Dixon saying it. When you see this happening, chances are you holding back on people's money. Chances are that people are not just gonna go into the public eye and have to be ridiculed because the fans can't ever accept the fact that this could absolutely be true. So when you see people take a chance like that, knowing how doesn't deserve home, he hurt so many, including his own family. RK was the right. So Jazz, listen, the I don't know why they shadow banned that, Jazz, but let me approve that. Listen, Jazz, the judge agreed with you. The judge said, first of all, go home where? Be on house arrest where? At home? First of all, is there a home, R. Kelly? Because where he was staying last at the Trump Towers, I thought they like cleaned that all the way out. Like he's got to go. I thought that was the last known home for him anyways. I'm not sure where he wanted to go to, right? But they're like, look, this is where you did all of the acts. And it hurts me because I love the music of Kels. Like I love R. Kelly music, right? And all the contributions and writing and greatness that he has put behind so many before he was, locked up, as well as the music that he's helping put out now after he's been writing and producing and everything while in there. So, and it might just be the space for people who lack control to be. They may continue to put out, as long as they have the freedom to write and produce and continue doing what they do. They're still contributing to the music industry and the parts that the fans love without all the extra that they like to do behind the scenes, right? So Joe stole the identity, like literally. Is the allegation is I'm the one running them words. Was that not the allegation? You guys remember that? So Big Pun's like, and even Big Pun's wife, right? Like all of that you see, that's fake. That's a facade. What you see is Big Pun. And I can almost agree, because even though, like, can I tell you a fun story about Big Pun, seeing Big Pun? Um, Hip Hop Mecca was hosting an event, UT Austin area, and Outkast was at that time going. They were on tour and they were performing. Excellent tour. But in addition to that opening, or maybe a part of that same tour, Big Pun was on that tour stop. So Austin, Texas. So we went to see him, and Outkast is just like phenomenal. They every song on the album, like there's nothing like an Outkast concert. Like they literally do every song. So it was excellent. And then and Pun was then on the stage, and I remember them. I'm sorry. Can you hear me now? You guys let me know if you can hear me now. Did you just go out? Okay, can you tell? Okay, let me know if you can hear me now. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, so basically that's what's going on with Fat Joe, you guys. So uh, go ahead and join up. You guys know it's that time. Oh, Enrico, are you please? Enrico, come up here and please make sure that you use language very carefully, so that we do not get in trouble on my live. Okay, welcome back up, and thank you so much for coming by. All right. All right, Enrico. What are your thoughts on today's topic? Welcome back up.
Hello.
Welcome up. Welcome
Um,
back up.
good afternoon. The J people have already used Diddy as a ruse, because that's what all this was. So
Mm-hmm.
they already dropped their you know what.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now they don't need him no more. You don't get it? the American people have been used like you always get used.
Mm.
You don't understand what's going on.
Hmm. Well,
There's a closing argument. Now it's over, right?
hmm hmm
And now another person of color is being put on trial. You don't get it? Every time
yeah.
the Zionist or the white tee needs a cover, they're going to use
Okay,
uh
so we have that argument, Enrico, solid. And here's why I say I cannot ever argue against that because it's solid AF. From Michael Jackson to R. Kelly to Bill Cosby to Sean P. Diddy
well, R. Kelly
Combs
was
to
guilty.
right. So when it comes to the way that the system unfairly comes for people of color, when the same thing happens within YT, when it comes to the system doing that, yeah, absolutely. But we're having a conversation today about the coincidence of these constant allegations within the camp of real people, actual people. Laura, that's our people. Okay, so when we see these constant allegations coming up with hip hop artists, we have to ask the question: is there a problem in the industry? Okay, pause for a second, Chef. Welcome up. Welcome up.
Hey, what's up? Hey, thank you for having me. I'm Chef Elijah
It's
Ramon.
muffled just a little bit, and welcome up. Thank you so much. No problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking about Fat Joe and the Big Pun and all that stuff, what I was saying was that, like Diddy and Biggie, those type of things, it's all about the publishing rights. And when you have
Mm,
somebody that's legendary, such as Big Pun, which nobody can like lyrically mess with him, nobody
at
can
all.
put together stuff like Biggie did, like his word verbiage, how he, dissects lyrics and makes it rhyme in different ways.
Correct.
It was astonishing to the community, the hip hop community. And in order to lock those things in, these guys that put them onto those type of planes was like trying to lock in that legacy to where they're going to get the royalties forever. And you become immortal when you pass away in such fashion in the hip hop industry. You become, like we look up to, like the Tupac when he passed. We still listen to his music. We still listen to Biggie.
Yeah.
We're still buying the records. We're still streaming the music, and all that money, all those royalties, is continuous checks going to these guys.
Yep.
And if Biggie's going to leave Bad Boy, he's taking his publishing with him, or he's going to try to. You see what
Right.
I'm saying? And if he don't own those rights to those publishing, and Puffy owns those rights, then Biggie
Well,
makes new music,
well,
and with the
sometimes
new
I was
music,
looking a little deeper, even to some of the ownerships of some of the music. Right. What I was kind of going a little deeper dive because we started having a conversation about Prince this weekend, and I was looking into some of the composition, the composer things, right? And
yeah,
a lot of that, a lot of who the people that we have lost, people that we don't talk about like out front making the money from, are a lot of the. Let me say this without getting in trouble on here. A lot of the Jewish community, the J community, a lot of them make a lot of money. They are the composers making a lot of money as we continue to run those songs
yes,
because they
absolutely.
have original composition on songs, right? Like, okay, let's go to Michael Jackson. I'm just going to take you guys somewhere for a minute, right? Let's go to Michael Jackson, Beat It, right? So for years, we're just like, okay, Michael put that together, right? What are your thoughts? Who put that together? You think that that's just Michael that put that intro together? Who do you think put that intro together?
Mm,
You see, but if you look up the details, Michael Jackson didn't put that intro together. And that intro is so legendary. The intro is legendary. And let me just go for a moment. We might as well play it for a minute so that those who may not be familiar with, I'll just take you into the intro for a moment. This little thing that you're going to hear at the beginning, it was composed by a guy. I'll pull up his name in just a moment. It was composed by um a guy that's not of color. Let's just say it like that. Let's leave it alone. Other than that, right? So let me try to pull it out. Hold on. But and so I'm agreeing with the things that you said. By the way, this see.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so when you go into this, look, we always thought that was Michael, right? It's not.
it's
It's
not
not.
him.
No, because he used a sound on the board, and the sound was inserted into the board, and that sound belonged to a J community composer.
Wow.
You get it?
So
So
they
we
locked
want
in.
to think that it is the people that they put in front, the
Mm-hmm.
face of. We want to think it's the prime minister, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know how the prime minister and the president, they're the ones that you put in front, but they're not really the ones making all these decisions.
Yeah,
It's the same
exactly.
in music. So you
Exactly.
you
It's
put
like
the
pushing a
Diddy's in front, you
Concord on
put
a
the Fat
chessboard.
Joes in front, you put the DJ Khaled's in front, but there's actually someone back there behind them. And and
That's
and Kendrick Lamar brilliantly showed that to you during the Super Bowl when he stood in the middle of the Super Bowl and he had all the people in white around him. He
mm,
said it without saying it.
you said it without saying it.
He said it without saying it.
Wow.
You get it,
Yeah,
and I know you get it,
that
but
rabbit
I
hole
mean, it's
goes
just
so deep. It's
wow.
crazy. It's just like when you was mentioning about Prince. He had to change his name to the artist just so that he can,
That.
you know what I'm saying? When he
Stop being an
when he put it,
SLAVE, like he put on his face.
yes,
Exactly.
when he put out new music, they can't
hmm
touch it. And
That.
he's a music composer. He will write music, so that his whole thing is like, he can control his whole outcome of whatever he puts out there. And if you're a
Right.
fan of his, you love it, you rock with it. If you don't, he like go to hell with it. It
And
don't
then
matter to
Michael
him.
does the same thing, but when Michael did it, and he's like, no, not only I'm going to go in here and get mine, I'm going
Hmm.
to go ahead and grab that Beatles catalog while I'm here. Since I'm here, since
Yeah.
I'm here
And,
anyway, I'm
and
going to
see,
go ahead and grab
Michael,
that also.
Michael
And he
always
didn't get to
stood
stick
out.
around longer after that.
Michael always stood out since his father and mom had him under contract, with Motown and all them. And
Right.
he grew up, like to where they were pretty much he was considered being groomed into the industry. So when he came out as a solo artist, he started seeing the wickedness of it because he was coming
Right.
into his adulthood at the same time. So his
Right.
maturity level started, getting more mature. He wasn't
Oh
that
yeah,
little
he
kid no
definitely would,
more.
and because he was the sound that they needed and they wanted, just think of him, and they were going to different places that were just odd. Like Daddy Joe took
Yeah,
them to Vegas once, and Janet and Michael were peeking and looking through, and they could see some
yeah,
things in Vegas that they were not supposed to see because of
yeah,
the performing
exactly,
that they were doing. Like yeah, they had to grow up real fast. The Jackson family. Let
exactly.
me do something for a moment, Chef Swag. Welcome up. Are you still here? Hello, Swag. Are you here? Okay, Swag. So you just are you
Yeah.
here? Okay, welcome up. All right, tell us your thoughts.
I'm fresh to the case. Like it's pretty brand new for me. I'm not really.
Okay, I can recap the case for you. Did you just come back? Did you just come up into the room?
Yeah.
All right, so let me drop you back down. I'll recap, okay, for you, okay? And then I'll let you come back up. Okay, no problem. All right, and Chef, go ahead and continue that thought, and then I'll go back over the
Sure, sure,
details real
sure.
quick for you guys.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Michael was, into his adulthood, he started seeing the wickedness within the industry,
Right,
and he was basically collecting receipts, and he started owning his own rights to everything because he
right,
understood that he'd be in a stronghold with industry moguls that
right.
would try to control his narrative and what he put out. And he wanted to put out what he wanted to put out because he was so extraordinary. He was like, I'm creating this, I write my music, I make my own beats, I do everything. and they're
Right.
trying to take that away from him.
Right.
So he said, okay, Sony don't want to work with him like that. Well, I got enough money to buy Sony now.
So here we go.
Yeah,
Now I have these
and
full
he's taking
ownership, so I can bring all my coins. Because you remember the heartbreaking, even though they kind of took the housekeeper and deported her back to where she was from. She was talking about how they were living in the basement with the children and of a friend. And like it got, his money. It was, after those lawsuits, he was struggling trying to get money back up. So that was a necessary move that he had to make
yeah,
for the
he
sake of
definitely
survival of
did.
his children.
And Michael had a fallout with his father because his father was industry plant
He's the
basically, and he
industry
was controlling his
problem.
kid.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he was him and Michael had like this whole quarrel thing. Michael was like, "No, I'm my own person. I'm gonna do what I need to do. I'm not gonna sign with these people. I'm not gonna continue this contract. I'm gonna get out of it. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that." And Joe wasn't having that.
Yeah, they
So
underestimated his toughness. They did. And there's so many
exactly.
times people underestimate the strong mind because of that, kind of naive smile that he did all the time. And I think people thought that they could
Yeah,
walk
he was
over
very
him.
soft spoken. He was
But
very soft
he was a
spoken.
Virgo. I'm a Virgo. Keep playing with a Virgo if you want to, right?
Exactly. That's when he came with that "who's I'm bad." You know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
That was a rabbit hole that people need to really
Yes.
revisit and look into that. You know what I'm
So
saying? Because he was like, "Oh, you were so big and bad. Now who's bad? I'm
yeah,
bad." You
I'm
know
the
what I'm
one.
saying? I get down. I'm who I am. I'm where I want to be because I stood on my 10 toes the whole time. And people don't
Exactly.
understand that. They just like the music, the entertainment of it. And when
Yeah,
you
and there's
really
so
look
much
into
more
it,
that can be behind. Thank you so much.
exactly.
You guys, please do share the live, share the live. Also, thank you for your if you will help me meet the goal. I think it's like one coin. If you will help me meet the goal, 10 people already did so far. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. And I'm agreeing with you, Chef. You have excellent thoughts, so I'm going to keep you up here, if you will. And Rico, did you want to share anything else before I recap the Fat Joe? Okay.
I just wanted to say, like I said, this Diddy thing is all a ruse from the J people, and y'all been used.
Hmm. Okay, well, thank you, Enrico. Well, as a paralegal, I like to be used because I learn a lot as I'm being used. You know what I'm saying? This
Y'all
is what
been
makes me get the
used.
top dollars from my attorneys. The more I know
You've
about
been
these guys.
used. It feels this good getting used. You just keep on.
All right, Enrico, you
They
can't get
just keep on using y'all
Enrico.
until
I'm
they
about to go
use
into
you.
Enrico. You already know mute.
I'm about to do a live.
Okay.
About to do a live
All right, I'll come
on,
over there in a minute if I
who's
feel
going
like
to
tapping
rebuild
in.
Israel? The
Mm.
Mexicans? Who's going to
All
rebuild
right.
Israel?
I just Enrico can't never just. Inhale. We're gonna do a 444 real quick. I'm sorry about that. So anybody that's in the room, you're familiar with my 444. Go ahead and 444 real quick. I'm sorry because Enrico can make you do. He'll take you there. Okay. So there's an inhale. Inhale at the count of 4. Hold for 4. Exhale at 4. 448. Let's inhale at 4. Hold for 4. Exhale at the 8 count.
Yeah.
Okay, the room is reset. So Fat Joe, you guys did, as we know, the Diddy trial expects. Thank you so much for sticking around, Chef. I'm sorry, I have to apologize for that, Enrico, dude. Ever since he started showing up this weekend. Okay, as the Diddy trial expects closing arguments next week, we're looking at the Diddy trial wrapping up. The defense says that they only need 2 days, and they are about done with what they came to say. And then that is when they're going to go into closing arguments, and we're expecting the jury to go into deliberation late Thursday or Friday. Okay, so that is the expected rhythm of the trial, as long as we are not interrupted because we see things happening in the I region on the news. Okay, here's what's happening with Fat Joe, though. As this is coming to a close, it looks like that we're going to spend the summer talking to Fat Joe. Fat Joe is currently facing a $20 million civil RICO lawsuit filed by his former hype man Terrence Dixon. He is alleging serious claims of exploitation, AB, and SA misconduct. Okay. The plaintiff is Terrence T.A. Dixon. He worked closely with Fat Joe for many years. He filed a federal lawsuit in the Southern District of New York. He is accusing rapper Fat Joe, whose real name is Joseph Antonio Cartagena. I hope I said that right. y'all forgive me if not, of orchestrating a criminal, sorry, I can't say that word, a C rhyme, a C rhyme operation involving coercive labor, exploitation, financial F rod, sexual manipulation, vital intimidation, and psychological coercion. Okay, sorry, we have to clean those up because the algorithm will I get in trouble. Allegations: Dixon is claiming that he was subjected to years of AB, including being forced into over 4,000 sexual acts to maintain his position within Fat Joe's enterprise. Dixon is alleging that he was deprived of at least $600,000 in his royalties, and he was systematically erased from the creative successes that Dixon says I contributed to those. He is seeking $20 million in damages for the alleged exploitation and AB that he endured during this time working with Fat Joe. Fat Joe comes back with his response. He's counterclaiming, okay? So in his counterclaim, he says this. He's filed a defamation lawsuit against Dixon. He says that the accusations are false. They have caused significant harm to his reputation, as if he didn't do that on his own. He alleges that Dixon's claims are wholly fabricated and is seeking damages for the defamation. Now, the implications of it all. The legal battle is just basically highlighting what we just talking about, and we'll go back to where we were. Serious issues within the entertainment industry regarding exploitation and AB. The outcome of these lawsuits, they will have significant implications on the parties, but as well as a broader conversation will continue to happen about the practices in the music industry. Things that need to be cleaned up in the music industry. They need to clean up the way that the people, they need workers' rights, maybe need to get better at that, right? They need to kind of have like a really strong HR system going on in the industry. Also, they need to give them medical insurance. I can't believe that I heard that they are not giving artists medical insurance. There's so many things that maybe go about doing it differently from 2025 going forward. The situation with Fat Joe is developing, you guys. More details will come out. I'll add them into the Diddy talks throughout the week. In RICO, we are not being used because we keep up with current events. We're being used if we come on here and we bash the individuals rather just than talking it out. All right, Chef.
Yeah,
Heather
I
said mute
agree
him.
with that. I really do. This Diddy trial thing it's basically exposing the industry, the dark part of it, and it's really astonishing to see this because we're on the outside looking in and we're getting a glimpse of what's been going on. So we get these pictures in our mind as people make their testimonies and stuff like that, and then we use common sense and we know how to put two and two together and
Right.
equate, the sum, right? And we sum up in value that there's a blueprint that was written some time ago. It could have been 10 years ago, it could have been 20 years ago, it could have been
Right.
50 years ago. And that
Correct.
blueprint that's written, these people are following.
Correct.
Like Diddy was, he was given the blueprint by Mr. Davis or someone in such manner, or whatever the case may be, and he rolled with it and he distributed that to these people that's in position. And now Fat Joe is being exploited for his,
Do you
execution.
feel that it is possible that Fat Joe is guilty of any of the
No,
things that are being
it's
claimed?
it's the burden of proof. It's like
Mm.
we can't pass judgment. We can't be biased, to accusations and stuff like that.
We just need
What
to be, yeah,
we,
beyond
we just
reasonable
need to
doubt
take
proven to
we just
us.
need to take in the information
Yeah.
and find the sum. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because everything in life is a mathematical equation.
Exactly.
And the numbers don't lie. So it's like, okay, what's going to be the end result? We don't know. Of course,
It
if
seems like they're trying
someone,
to unravel hip hop as we know it. Do you agree?
I think that there's going to be a restructuring of the hip hop industry after this, because of the falsities that's been taking place there. There's going to be some truth, there's going to be some lies, there's going to be some people that just trying to jump on the bandwagon and try to get in and you can slip through the cracks. You can see the false portion of it, and you can
All
see the
right.
truth of it. The truth
Right.
of it is that's what's going to prevail. It's a scale, and we're looking at this scale tip, and
And we
with
seem to have normalized, for some reason, people say, throughout the Diddy trial coverage, so many people say, "Oh, well, he's just a swinger with a bunch of women, and all the women that are in the industry that hang around, they get in this lifestyle and they make money for it, and that's what they do." And people seem to think, "What's the problem?" And a lot of people seem to have normalized things that society's going, "Yeah, we're not going to make that a thing."
Yeah, I agree. I look at some people, the streamers, they do these type of things where they expose gold diggers and things like that. And
Right.
it's like, if you're normal, you're on a certain tier. But once the money shows, then that changes that personality. That changes the person. The ultimate goal is like, oh, I want the money, I want the money. People chase the money, but then they get exposed to certain things and they go with those things, but they don't never get the money. So now they're mad about it.
Right.
And now they collected all these receipts, not knowing they had these receipts until someone wakes them up to it and say, you got these receipts, you still got those text messages because you always have proof to show that you're in conversation with this person, that you
Right.
know these people. So you don't delete those messages. You don't delete those DMs. You keep
And
those. Those are like
then here's the
heirlooms.
thing about deleting. I saw a military guy on a break. Can I tell y'all what I saw yesterday?
Let's hear it.
About all of our devices. So he was taking a break and he was just kind of stopping to comment on the current events. And he said that he works in a division, without saying what he does and where he's at and what part of the world he's in. He said, "I'm here to let y'all know I work in a division that there is nothing that you can do." He said, "You can take a phone and just take it apart if you want to. You could take it and throw it into several different parts of the ocean if you so desire, and there is still, for every device that exists," he said, "from your TV to your phone to your watch to your laptop to your iPad, to your MacBook." He said, "Every device, I can pull everything that you have done since you were born.
Wow.
Even if you destroy it, if you get rid of it." He said, "Even for y'all who wipe it clean." He said, "Even when you reset it and you wipe it clean," he said, "I work a job, I can still pull it."
It's a digital file cabinet.
Period. Somebody said the cloud. There you go. I remember integrated software 101. I
Yeah,
remember that
digital
class. The
digital file
cloud.
cabinet. I mean, everything is documented. Everything.
Everything. There is
And
no
that's
such thing. Somebody said, "Oh man, I need to go through my phone." And the guy responded during this live. He said, "You can't do anything. You can go through your phone and I can still get it." He said, "You can clean your phone out right now and I can still get it."
it's insane.
So
And
what happens is, especially when the Diddy
it happens.
trial, we see Diddy saying, I mean, the different witnesses talking about the assistants testifying that they had to delete, delete, delete. Well, guess what? Apparently, once you're working with when the government's involved, because it's the
It's a
United
federal
States
case. They're gonna
versus
pull
Sean P. Diddy
everything.
Combs, they can pull it all up.
Yeah, they can just do it with your social security number. They don't
That's
have
it.
to. They don't have to do anything else. They can get it with your social security number because it identifies it's your fingerprint basically.
That's
And
how they know who you are, where you are, and
exactly.
everything that you have done. I remember going through the airport not too long ago, and went through TSA, and he said, "Can I have your phone?" It's like, "My phone?" And I was like, "Do you want me to turn it on?" He was like, "I know, I need your phone." And he took my phone and plugged it up into the wall. So I had to ask all my military friends what that was about. So when they ask for your phone and plug it into the wall, just know I still was able to continue overseas, but I'm just trying to let you know.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
they swipe every all the information out of it
They
until
had to
they
know
get it
everything
at the
about me
contact.
before my flight landed in another country. They wanted to know who I was, right?
Exactly.
Speaking of traveling, can I add this, guys, since we're talking news updates and current events? listen, if you're tuned in and you know somebody that this applies to, listen. Your best bet, 45 countries now on the ban. Listen to me. When it comes to the United States, that's the only one that I can speak on, right? You guys live in all the different places, and I get that. If you were not born here, your mama was in the hospital, had you had a birth certificate, or maybe you had a midwife, birth at home, and then mom went and got a birth certificate. If you are not that person, I'm not talking about came here, got married, and then you got your citizenship. If you are a person that has an actual birth certificate, you are the only one that should be flying in and out the country traveling for the summer. Anyone else, you're going at your own risk about whether or not you'll be able to come home or not. I'm just because I see everybody like, I'm going anyway. Okay, well, go ahead and go. But if you do not have an original birth certificate, United States birth certificate, whether or not you will be able to come back or not is pending. So the best thing to do is while they work it out until Kamala Harris is president. I'm joking. But look, while they work it out, you guys cancel your travel plans. Figure something else out. We have national parks, you guys. We go to the national parks.
Can I speak on that?
Yes, yes, yes.
There's a location tag on everybody's cell phone and everything, and they know like when there's like immigrants, in places like Home Depots or Safeway.
Again, they know where
parking lot,
everyone
they
exactly.
look, and if there's a lot of red tags in that area, that's where the ICE go, you know, and that's why they're pulling up on people on the streets out of
Oh, like that
nowhere.
Hobby Lobby. Oh, yeah.
They just pull up on you, and they like, how do they know where they at? How do they know? They know because until you get rid of your cell phone, ditch it, and just go,
Off grid.
go off the grid. That's you're going to be found. That's why they're not worried about it. That's why they're trying to. That's why they're saying they can make those different quotas, every day because.
And you should. And here's the best advice that I saw. I voted for Kamala Harris. I'm sure that's already apparent on my social media. But here's some of the things that I saw come from the Trump administration ad that popped up on Instagram, and I thought that was actually a very brilliant thing to say. The lady just simply said she was I think the secretary or press secretary, and she had an ad, and she said, "Go back. If you came here the wrong way, go back and wait until you can come here the right way." That's really the best advice anybody could give anybody.
Not only that, they gave an incentive. You get $1,000. That's going to set you straight while you go back and try to figure
So
it out.
just do that rather than have the trouble and the inconveniences or the separation of family or all of the things. Don't be stubborn. Don't let your ego and being stubborn get in the way because we don't want to see you on the news for no reason.
Dollars right now and pesos is a nice little chunk of change.
Yeah, so just do it and do it the right way. There is a right way to do it, and you'll find that out, and it'll become a better experience for you without looking over your shoulder. Can you imagine people looking over their shoulder all the time, worried about when, and then your baby's at daycare and you're at work when it happens, kind of thing? Like, don't go through that. Don't go through that. That's not the dream. That's not the American dream at all.
Once you get sent back and you got that tag on you, then you can't come back, and that's.
And then you'll never be able to come back, right? That is a reality also.
A harsh reality of it. And it's like, I got everything, my life is here and everything. I understand that, but just go reset and do it the right way and just be legit. I mean, if it was me and I had to go through that, I would do it for the betterment of me and my family. I would say, okay, let's pack up. We're just going to have to go. We're going to have to cancel our lease wherever we're staying. We're going to have to book these flights. We're going to do the paperwork so they know that we're doing it the right way. They know that we're going back, and then we're going to try to re-enter.
And so many, and even bringing it back to our topic, you guys, in these lawsuits, when you read them in detail, a lot of these rappers in the lawsuits that are claimed against them, they were bringing people over here on private jets the wrong way. That has a big deal to do with why they are caught up in these lawsuits also. They're being accused of doing things like that also, and that's not good.
Yeah,
That's probably what got them even, into the most trouble. But
crossing state lines and everything.
man,
sexual,
And doing all that.
photos and all that stuff,
Mhm.
and paying them to do, that changes everything.
It
That's
changes
a hook, line,
everything.
sinker right there, and that's like you're going to do some time for that, and let's see what else we can add on.
Right.
It's all about add-ons, it's enhancements and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And the federal government, as far as like conviction and their scale of how much the timetable of how much time you're going to get, they sentence you by month. So you don't say in federal court they don't say you're going to get 10 years, they going to or 5 years, they're going to
Right.
say you're going to do 64 months or you're going to do 120 months, and
Right.
and
Right.
it's
And it
like
could be
crazy.
drawn out for
Yeah,
decades,
exactly.
right? Like because
And
and then they're looking at per accusation, per charge, per like it's just so much. Like here's something else I forgot to tell you guys that's a little bit, I'll see how I can cover this for the algorithm the right way. But in his allegation,
mhm.
this guy TA is saying that Fat Joe was Epsteining as well. I hope that makes sense to people.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, the blueprint.
Hmm. Under
The
under the
blueprint.
age of 18, he was abstaining, and he says that he witnessed him do it and have long-term relationships with. There's another allegation of Fat Joe having a home nearby him, the home with near his main home, and he had a person that was young living a whole life not that far down the street from his main home.
Wow, and he
He's
basically
looking at Epstein
yeah,
business right there.
that's that's crazy.
Joe going, Joe, no amount of countersuit is going to really. I'm looking at them. If of course, he has to come to an agreement. $20 million. He has to pay this guy. He pays this guy. They're coming. They're raiding the homes. They're coming.
Oh yeah, they're definitely you know trying to figure out their approach of what they're going to
Mhm.
do, what day they're going to do it, what time they're going to do it,
Yeah,
everything.
people say, "Oh, his lawyer said he didn't do it." Okay, you know how much money someone can pay to make sure your lawyer says that publicly? Yeah. It's brilliant always to say have the lawyer say it versus getting on Instagram and making yourself Sean P. Diddy Combs trying to explain yourself. You don't want to do the Instagram move. That you saw
No,
how that worked out for Diddy.
that's a pity cry.
Yeah.
But if it was somebody that was truly not guilty of anything, they're
Right.
gonna have a full press conference. They're gonna be like, you know what? This ain't cool. I'm standing on business. This ain't got
Right.
nothing to do with me.
Right.
I don't know what the hell is going
But
on. And
when
they're
you
gonna do it
know
every
that they are
day, every
landing
day.
somewhere.
They're gonna start spending money and paying
Uh,
for campaigns, and you know what I'm saying?
mhm,
They're gonna speak
mhm.
their truth. But when you're kind of like, I mean, for me on the outside looking in, I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, this very subtle approach about denial. It's like, no, it wasn't
And
me.
then got on your
No,
podcast and just chilled on your podcast like you
yeah,
didn't
just
have all this
feeling
hanging over
like
your head. Mm-hmm.
exactly. Just like
Mm-hmm.
when Diddy, you know what I'm saying, was out in public, you can see his head is on a constant swivel.
Yes, it
He
was.
knew they was coming.
The day at the
You could feel
airport
him
before
breathing
he
down
tried
his
to
neck.
take that flight, he was looking so nervous.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, when
Yeah,
they
he
pulled up
looked
on him at
so
the
nervous.
hotel, that was crazy. And he couldn't even make it back to the room, the hotel. They was like, okay, they finna go. They already up in your room, buddy.
They had already, while he was out,
Yeah,
they had the manager let them in that room because that's where they got
exactly.
those photos from. Yeah.
Exactly. He didn't have time to have them clean that out and everything. And it's
Because he
crazy
came to
because
town to turn himself in is his argument. But when they had their secret person go in your room when you left the hotel, when they saw the setup in there, they were like, no, we better get him tonight.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's go time. It's go time.
Yeah, they probably said,
Because
yes. I'm
he
sorry,
hired people.
Sarge. This is what I see in his room. I think we should take him
Yeah,
now. Yeah.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
it's one of them things where it's like um, Diddy, you know, he felt like he was on top of the world. But when you go and you get like content and cocky, you know, about your position, you
Right.
start doing things like you can't, like you're untouchable.
Right.
And that's what, when it backfires, now you're looking for the community that you basically hurt, like people that were signed to your company, people that was working for you. They got all these different things saying that you were this monster and you're this monster and you were like a light switch. One day you on, next day you just evil. You know, one day
And
you're
now
dangerous.
the explanation, he could have given it to us so many times before. The explanation is kind of adding up to kind of things that you see in the communities, community to community. He was highly addicted to harmful, mind adjusting kind of things that he would take in, rugs, I guess we have to call them on here. And it alters the personality. And those are the things that he was taking in, not just one or two. He seemed to take like a handful of them at a time. So I can only imagine what his mental
He
was
had some in the
like.
kitchen, he had some in the bedroom, he had some in the bathroom. Whenever he needed it, it was there. And then when he started,
And
his
I think, and I
supply
thought,
got
what was
low.
he running from? You know how you look at people? Have you ever seen footage of people in an AA meeting and they talk about what they're trying to run from? So
Yeah,
it's like, what was he running from that he
what
needed
was
to
his
be
vice?
that
Like, what was
gone?
his vice, right? Like,
Right.
why so heavy? Why is it like so substantial of
That
what
you
you're doing for
couldn't
yourself?
think on your own.
Because it's a state of delirium when you get into that space, because you lose track of time. You feel like sleep is your enemy, and then what happens is you alter your mind, you alter your body functions to where you're forcing yourself. You're taking something that's going to keep you going, keep you going, keep you going. So then
Right.
your mind falls into this fatigue where you're in a state of delirium and you're riding on idle. And whatever mind frame or state that you're in is locked in. And once that's it's locked in, then you're that person, and you say whatever, you do whatever, and you think you're going to live with the result because you feel
Right.
like you're untouchable. So you feel like there's no conviction for what you're doing. It's like, I own these people. I own these people. I got all this money. They're going to do whatever I say, and I tell them to
King
shut
of the
up. They're going to shut
king
up.
of the world, right? Like the
Exactly.
richest man in the world, that
Yeah.
interview with Don
Whatever I
Lemon.
want, I get. However I want it, I get it. I tell people to
Yeah.
do it, and they do it. You can't tell Diddy no. You can't say no to him. You say no to him, it's like disrespecting him to where he wants to harm you. You
But
know what I'm
now
saying? It's like,
That's the Diddy on everything. Do you think a sober Diddy is a different person?
at this point, I don't think Diddy was ever sober. I think that he was coming down on something and he brought himself right
Brought
back
himself
up.
back up. So we would
Yeah.
have to get to know the guy without all that and to even begin to figure out who is he.
I mean, Kendrick Lamar is very, very educated. He that song Euphoria, it does only speak to the Canadian guy, whatever. It speaks to the industry.
Right.
When you say those superpowers get neutralized, I can only speak in silence. You see what I'm saying? It's just like
Right.
he's speaking to the Diddy thing. He's speaking to all these type of things
Yeah.
that
What's the name? What's the word that he uses when he's talking about? He calls him I don't even think I can say it on here because it's actually like I think it might be considered a slur. He uses it. He has a name for him. I heard him call it out. It's real slick light when he was talking to
mm,
Drake. Like you answer to him, and he's talking about Diddy for sure. I
yeah,
think it starts with a
exactly.
B, but I think I can't say that word on here.
Yeah.
But basically, that's the leader. That's the person you answer to, kind of thing. Dig that Kendrick did in that song.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah. He
yeah,
digs real deep, and it's
yeah.
like when I hear that song, I just be like, wow. See, like
Hmm.
you felt like you are so powerful. Now you feel powerless.
Hmm.
Like,
And even though it seems as if there's a humility happening with Fat Joe, the way he talks, sometimes the way he delivers, I have seen moments when they're in their king of the world kind of groups when it's him and somebody just said in their comment a minute ago, you brilliantly listed all of them that they're probably coming for, and that's so correct. The person clip said Diddy, Jay Z, Fat Joe, Ross, Khaled, Meek Mill, Ye. Like they kind of there's a there is a humility movement going on for those who are unaware. There's a humility movement going on where they are going to humble those that they feel need to be humbled. And if you have that kind of arrogant demeanor in the industry,
Hmm.
they're coming.
Yeah,
They're
well, I
they're,
mean,
they're
part of the
definitely
fact,
coming.
Joe, I never considered him to be on top of anything.
I'm trying to figure out how, other
I
than
know that's
having a
why.
major
That's
connection for
why.
somehow like musically. Please explain.
I mean, to me, if
Where on the billboard can you place
it,
him?
yeah, I mean, lean back and everything, but that's not even a solo project. Anything
Right.
that he does that is
Collab,
popular is the
collab, collab,
collab. It's a
collab.
collab. It's
Hmm.
a collab.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
not considered. You can't consider yourself a true artist until you can capture
Just the circle
the
you were in.
masses as a solo artist performing a track that everybody's rocking to.
Nothing. Has nothing. Has as
You
much
know,
as Cassie
that's
had.
why I give it. That's why I give it to Jim Jones with that balling song. You know, that's something that
Right.
he got, and people to this day can rock with that. Just knowing that it's old, it's not trending no more. But if it comes on at a party, everybody gonna throw their hands up, balling, all that stuff. So
Right. But
it's that,
like
and
even
it's like,
he's another one that I throw into this category of y'all all in that same clique, right? But you know who's very impressive to me with that kind of one, but wow, I really like it is Boosie. Boosie moving, I act like I heard it for the first time.
yeah, no,
Why is it
Boosie,
like
no,
that? I act
Boosie
like
is
I
a
heard it for the
character in
first time.
himself,
Boosie
though.
moves different. I like his humility actually.
I like his courage because he's a
Yeah.
small dude
He's bold.
that's big. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
he talk. People listen. Like they
And
take him serious.
he has so much authentic behind it. I like the authentic movement of him. I mean, I understand he has a lot going on,
I just find it hard
aside.
to respect the artist 100% and wholeheartedly when they piggyback off of other artists to gain leverage.
Right. Right.
It's difficult to take that artist as an artist.
Right.
Say, okay, well, you have to ass at it because you didn't want to complete the whole song. You could have just did a whole song and did a remix, and
And that's
keep it
what Michael
together.
Jackson could not stand. He couldn't stand people tapping into everyone else's talent
And that's
and
why
just
Prince
kind
didn't
of
want to
doing it
work.
again. It's like,
That's why
where's your talent? What are you bringing that's new?
exactly. And Prince
Yeah.
was big on that. That's why he never wanted to work with Diddy because he said
He
you
made it
sample too
crystal
much.
clear.
He
Yeah, all
said
that
you sample
sampling.
too much. That I don't
And
work
then
with you.
sampling without permission is dirty work.
Oh
So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
That's total fabrication right there.
Yeah.
It's total copyright infringement, things of that nature.
Yeah.
It's hard. That's why he never worked with those different artists. That's why he declined to do the song with Pharrell. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's
Hmm.
just it's just like songs that Pharrell wrote for Prince. He just couldn't rock with it because he's like, you composed it, but you sample, and I can't rock with you. You might
Yeah.
not sample on this song, but you have a history of sampling, so we
Right.
don't want to rock with that. So he don't
Yeah.
want to pay his image. And by him, backpedaling on the industry such as he did, they had to take him out. And
Yeah.
it's sad to hear that. And I
And
just
when I look at Fat Joe, I realize, yeah, this 100-page lawsuit is redunculous in accusations of behavior for sure, and will be even more hurtful if someone else steps up behind TA by Monday or Tuesday and accuse him of the very same thing, or if
mhm.
any, like Epstein, if they have already gathered those 15, 16, 17.
Yeah, things with
Man,
minors,
man.
that's a whole nother
Yeah,
bracket
if
right
Fat Joe
there.
can look at the Epstein thing and see you could point to where it's not, you will not be able to come back from that.
No, you can't, and you won't be able to live comfortably ever again because if you get
Mhm.
locked up behind it, they coming after you inside.
All finances,
They coming at
all,
you inside. Like
yeah.
they're like, ain't no getting away from it. You're gonna have to go in solitary confinement
Oh,
to stay
right.
away
Just
from
like
all
where
that.
R. Kelly is right now. Exactly.
Exactly,
Yeah, they're coming and coming.
because of
Yeah.
the jacket that you're going in with. You're
Right.
going in with a baby blue jacket on.
Right.
That's no matter what, they can't stand to look at you. They hate that they would have to live with you, and they don't want to see you. They want you out of their face. Every time you come out in general pop, they're gonna come after you. You know what I'm
Fat
saying?
Joe, when it comes to Fat Joe, when it comes to Diddy, Malcolm X 101, a man who stands for nothing will fall for anything. Like, even R. Kelly, all of those that got caught up in the system, and now you're probably just gonna be in there for life. Did you not have anything to stand on, like Terrence Howard talked about, like those morals? Like, you just got to stand on something to say, even if it seems good. It has to be a real selfish mindset to say, I know we're going to be hurting a lot of people, doing a lot of whatever, but it's only us up here. We're the only ones at the top. No one else can get here, and we'll step on whoever to get here. Like
We
that,
just
you
gonna
had to
get
have known that
greasy.
that would crumble at some point.
We just gonna get greasy. That's what it is. It's like,
Basically.
why not just do it the right way? You making money. Let's make some more money. Put these artists out. Help build up communities. Give back to communities. Do charity work. You know what I'm saying?
And then
Pop up.
create a label, like stand in your own lane, even if it's not popular. Like I
Exactly.
am forever impressed by Master P of standing in his own lane, running his own course at the pace that it goes. But this is mine, because even with Sean P. Diddy Combs' Bad Boy, it is a third party of Clive's business, right? And then when
Mhm.
you look at Ti's business, it's a third party of one of the major labels. Like all the major labels kick off people their own label, but they still are only third party subsidiaries to those main labels.
Because
They're
they
not
want you
even
to
their
feel
own
like you own
label.
it, but you don't own it. You can't walk with it. It's not generational wealth.
Master P can walk with his, right? But like
Exactly.
it may not be the popular route, but Master P has never been out of business.
No, but he like all those royalties, all that money, everything goes,
Everything's his.
goes to the company. It goes to the artist. He paid his artist. That's the beauty of, what
That's
I'm
the
saying,
beauty of doing it
a
that way.
mogul,
So
a
it's
real
like, why would
mogul.
you want to be a part of all these organizations that are only a third party, to where the J community runs those main labels, those main three?
Hmm.
They run those. And you know what? I meant to tell you guys, I meant to add it to the screen and I forgot. Rock Nation ended up getting hit with something this weekend, and it's bad. I
Oh,
forgot to pull it up, you guys. It is bad.
what's
I
up
was
with
going, I need to get, I'm going to, let me pull is a brief AI of it, because it doesn't look like, it probably looks like it's nothing, but I promise you it is something. Let me see if AI can give it to us briefly. Okay. Here is the Rock Nation lawsuit. Since we're here and we're talking industry, we may as well cover this one real quick, okay? I'm gonna pull it up. The CEO of Rock Nation has been, okay. I should be talking to people that know business, right? So when you know business, putting the CEO, putting that CEO in front. That's still my business, but I'm gonna put the CEO in front, and the CEO has to answer to everything and all these things that could come up, right? So the comfort, whoever decided whatever this is going on, to come for the CEO, they're not too far off for going to the partner, right? Did everybody agree that they're coming directly for who they're coming for? But Desiree Perez, the CEO and co-founder of Rock Nation, is facing serious legal allegations, and they're coming surprisingly from her daughter. So her daughter, Damori Haley, has filed a lawsuit claiming that Perez used unlawful methods to have her detained underneath the Florida's Baker Act and Marchman Act. And there's a video up. You could go watch the video of the girl saying that they're trying to act like she's trying to share a bunch of stuff and say things that's happening to her. And they're trying to put her in this mental institution and say something's wrong with her. She's just, and why is that such a common thing? We just watched Day 26 unload their souls
exactly.
on
And
DJ
what about
Vlad
Wendy? What about
and Art of
Wendy
Dialogue.
Williams? How they
Hmm.
tried to shut her up?
Hmm.
Diddy did that girl dirty, talking about you'll never work again. in nowhere in America. I'm a blackball you, and it's like, how do you have that much power? How do you feel
How?
like you
Who
got that
gave
much
y'all that
power?
kind of power? That is so scary. Like,
That's scary as hell.
I tell you guys, if you click on my timeline, my second video that I pinned up on my timeline, watch that video of what I say. Watch that video of what I say about trying to out God, trying to out God. I'm telling you that every time they get, Jesus already said it in the comments. I mean, he gives them Lucifer every time, right? Trying to out God. Well, they say that this report, it was published by NBC South Florida, and it is saying the accusation is the CEO of Rock Nation, Perez, manipulated the system. She was using her influence and her resources to push this to happen, according to the lawsuit. Her daughter alleges that she was institutionalized in her mental health facility. She was put there for 2 weeks. They did not give clear justification as to why she was there. Her daughter says that she was submitted medical documentation. They had body camera footage, like Wendy Williams, that allegedly shows a mobile crisis unit instructing her to get into a gray pickup truck. The doctor later evaluated the daughter, Hadley, referencing the family statements, including those from the CEO of Rock Nation, Perez, and an auntie that claimed that the daughter had attempted to OD on the previous night.
Mm.
So I don't know if the little girl was trying to get up there like what was that daughter from the girl from the Tea Party? You guys remember that back in political days when the daughter decided to get up there and tell all her business? I don't know if she was trying to say something and talk about something that they don't want her to talk about, or is this a rug problem? But the CEO Perez, Haley, her daughter, is accusing her of leveraging her wealth and status always to interfere in her marriage that she's married to a guy named Javon. Says that Perez fabricated DV claims to separate the couple. Perez previously filed her own lawsuit against the daughter's husband. So just real Rock Nation messy. Real messy. And there's a video up, that's I'm reading that from the Tribune, but you guys can go see the video up on YouTube also. Just not good. All I can tell you is not good. Not good for Rock Nation at all.
No, it's not. It's not good at all. Rock Nation is. I think they're going to be taken down at some point because it's
I'm thinking so.
like the root cause of everything is going to be exposed with these different, accusations and these different trials and cases that's coming forth now. A lot of artists are signed to this management group. So like if they're going to try to sustain, their prestige or whatever, it's pretty hard to do that when you have all these different artists with these different backgrounds that's involved in this industry. So this industry is just going to be exposed, and I think they're really going to be taken down. I mean it's going to go all the way down to Jay-Z and Beyonce, probably implications of Aaliyah, Left Eye, things like that. The R. Kelly thing is going to come back up. It's like,
Okay, hold on just a second, Chef. There's a timeline on that poll. So on the poll, you guys, red, or red, we will say. So for the red, do you think that the industry is a yes and blue will be no? Is that how it goes?
I would say
Yeah,
blue
yeah.
yes
So
and red no.
blue yes and red no. Do you think that the industry needs to revamp itself? You guys, can y'all take the poll? Let me know. Let me know. Does the industry need to clean up its act? Does the industry need to clean up its act? Because
So how
it's
do you take
real.
Do I tap
I
on it or?
I think you guys tap on the color that I think you tap on the color. It ends in just a few. I may have to start it over. Let's let that
Oh,
poll
I
end.
think it ended because it's kind of transparent now. Oh, there it goes. I see it now.
Okay, let's see if it'll let us do it again.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to start a new poll. All right, there we go. So cleaning up. We have to not act. So many times we have heard something going on with Rock Nation, something going on with Bad Boy, something going on with the leader of this, something, and it's always somebody out of Miami, somebody out of LA, somebody out of New York. It's time to clean up the music industry.
Well, you know,
It's time to do things differently. And
if they put the RICO charge on Diddy and his apparent company, of Bad Boy Industries or whatever the case may be, then it can change that into gang enhancement for any type of sentencing if you are affiliated within that. That's
right,
crazy,
right,
but a
like
lot of people don't understand that. They like, oh, it's a company, so no, they could change that company into a gang if they can prove RICO,
right,
because
and that's literally where I was taking everybody because it seems like they've almost brilliantly pulled them all into the spotlight during the Diddy arrest and trial.
hmm
They've almost pulled who they're talking to. They've pretty much done it. Like before the verdict of Diddy, that's why I said within the next 4 days, more names may come.
they will. And you know what?
Or
It's like,
they may decide that these two are enough.
if you listen to the music industry right now, you can hear a pin drop. It is so quiet. I mean,
Quiet.
the industry is so quiet. It's only the only artist that's really making moves right now are artists that's pretty much not into that, and they continue to do
Right. Right.
their
Like the
artist work or
Lizzos,
whatever.
just here to
Exactly,
work. Right. Right.
Just here to
Right.
work. I'm here to hit
I'm
my
just here
eight
to
and
work.
hit the gate. I'm here to do
I
my eight
don't
and
know
hit the
what y'all
gate.
have going on. I stay to myself. She has
Exactly.
a page. She invited us into her real life. I'm telling you, for those of us that made it into her real life pages, the woman work and that's it. And she go to sleep. She's like Kai Sinai. She work and she go to sleep and she get back up and she work again. She does not
Exactly.
have herself involved in it.
Exactly.
Trust me, the woman is just busy working on her
And
empire and planning.
I pray for Kai Cenat,
I
because
am
he
too.
is like, he don't even understand what type of danger he's in.
He's so
And it's
young.
like he's so
Yeah, he's too
young,
young.
and they're basically licking their chops after this young man, and
Right.
it's like he's not falling for it, and his facial expression says it all. He can't hide it. He wears these emotions on his sleeves. He's going to speak his truth. He's going to tell you right in your face, oh no, I'm not with that. You came at me with that. No, 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 no. And he's getting through these doors, but they're basically telling him, in order to get through the other door, come with me over here. And he's like, no, 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 I'm not going there. So, I just pray for that young man, because,
Yeah, because they talk about
eventually
like
they're
they
not they're not
show
gonna they're not gonna come for him. They're gonna come after him. That's
right,
the difference.
and they're and all the big names are making sure that they are, I don't know if that's just his management and what they feel should happen, but they're attaching him to every name, and the rumors are already, how the rumors fly, and they just putting that kid in the middle of so much, and I see his faith. I was watching him on his live during the BET Awards, Kirk Franklin performance, and the words that he was saying that they didn't talk about on the media, but how he was like, everyone needs to get a relationship with Jesus Christ. And he was kind of talking like that, but that's the parts that they don't show about him. They don't kind of tap into that. But I just hope he has a strong support system around him because this industry
I
is
mean, when I think
predictable.
about him, my heart races, because Lord forbid something happened to this young man,
Yeah.
because he's not in compliance, or he's not, not falling into, what I'm saying,
Hmm.
these different rooms with these
Right.
people. He's
Right.
refusing it, and
Because
then
they
you have,
seem to, according to Suge Knight, there's a requirement and you have to do it if you want to be a part of XYZ. I just feel like all those things being said over the time, over the decades, it can't just be rumors now. It's
yeah,
impossible. We can't just keep
yeah,
landing on rumors. After Aaliyah, after Whitney Houston, after Left Eye, after Michael Jackson, after Prince, we can't just keep landing on, oh, those are just rumors. Rumors can only last so long. Have y'all noticed that? Like a rumor, just in real life, like in your own community, a rumor pretty much we get behind the truth pretty soon, right? A rumor can
yeah.
only last so long. So this is going beyond rumor.
Oh yeah, and
This is a lifestyle.
they put them in front of all these different celebrities, and he's meeting with these high prestige people and everything because they hoping somebody influences them and something sticks. Like, oh, you were able to have a breakthrough. They're trying to fish and something sticks. Like, oh, you were able to have a breakthrough. They're trying to fish for a breakthrough. Maybe this artist can get him going. Maybe this one could take me. Maybe this one. But you know what I'm saying? He's like, once shit get weird for him, he gets out of their way. He's like, nope, nope. We didn't jump subjects like you didn't. You start talking about Kanye, and I'm talking about the performance. You
And
know,
look and look here, you guys. Here's something that has just happened. So this is reported a few hours ago, but Nicki Minaj took what Haley, remember Haley, the daughter of the CEO of Rock Nation. So she took it and she reposted, and she's accusing Rock Nation of targeting not just Haley, but herself as well.
mm,
Where's
mm.
Nicki going with that?
I don't know, but it's going to trickle
He
down to
says
it's going to
Nicki
trickle down
Minaj
to baby.
says, yeah, Nicki Minaj is saying that they weaponized their power to silence dissent and control narratives, including her own. And she's been doing some odd little posts lately, like, oh, I don't have a video crew, so I'm gonna do my whole video to my song with my iPhone. she's
Exactly.
she's been kind of loud and not heard lately. I kind of hear her going through something with the label for sure.
Yeah, a lot of people are distancing themselves from that,
Hmm.
and it's not necessarily her signature, but her, you know, person like Baby with the Young Money and Lil Wayne, the
Hmm.
Universal Group, and signing to Rock Nation that's basically the 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 signing protocol. It's like you go from
Hmm.
here, you sign there. It's a conglomerate, and this is how we're going to make the magic happen. And you're not really understanding, Rock Nation for what it is and how much power they have. So now you're like, okay, you're trying to control my narrative. You're trying to control everything I put out. I'm an artist.
Yeah.
I write my music, but now you're telling me what to write about. You're telling me what
Especially
cadence I'm supposed to
telling
use.
me who to be, because especially with Nikki, who simply said, when I first arrived, yeah, I was rapping and everything, but I had a point where I wanted to do a gospel album. Soon as that girl said she wanted to do a gospel album, everything seemed to go downhill. Everything
Yeah,
seemed to go downhill,
yeah.
you guys.
Every
Like,
time somebody wants to do something on their own, it's it's against the majority's best interest as they feel, and they
yes.
tell you no. And that's when you have a realization. It's like, hold on, I don't have
Hmm.
control of my life. What the fuck am
Hmm.
I doing? So now I'm not gonna put down no music.
Exactly.
Now it's a breach of contract. Now it's a breach of contract. Now I can't sign to somebody else. I can't go independent. I can't do nothing except go on TikTok or Instagram
And
and air
X
out my
and try to express themselves,
yeah, air out my grievances. Yeah, it's
like
just like
Haley,
and
the
then
daughter, basically.
you're under an NDA at the same time, so
Right,
you
and
have
then
to
you have
watch
to
what
be
you
careful
say.
because you have contract rules that you have to follow. And
Exactly.
so Haley basically said in her accusation, she says Rock Nation A-B'd her, Nicki Minaj, freedom of speech, and that they A-B'd her family, they attacked her husband and her child, and it should scare the American people. Well, Nicki Minaj then goes and says, she comes back and puts on X on Saturday. Was it Saturday? On Friday? No, on Thursday. What day was the 20th? On Friday. She put on X to the PMs who claiming it was, if it wasn't made clear to you, she said some mean stuff. She said, hopefully Demaray's massive and detailed page by page claim gets you all caught up basically on what she's been trying to say. And don't ever call me a liar again. She said, don't even insinuate it again. So she's co-signing what Haley has to say about what's been happening to her, and now the CEO daughter says it's happening to her. So her and Nicki
Exactly.
Minaj are working together and saying
Yeah.
this is
They've
real.
been trying to
That's
exploit Nicki Minaj for years. They've been trying to get her on some kinky stuff, and because the reason they tried to get her on like the kinky images, video, whatever the case may be, was because that's the narrative they were putting out. They said, "Put this out,
Oh,
put
it's
the thong
always the
out,
narrative you love to
shake
put
your
out.
butt, shake your
Yeah.
butt, put a thong on, do all that stuff, wear the nipple covers or whatever, and whatever you do, and this is what we want you to do." And she did that because she was under contract, but she wouldn't go further and go behind closed doors and do it. You get what
So
I'm
now
saying?
it's
So
not a conspiracy theory. Now it's like, oh, a second person is standing up.
exactly, and now she's standing up and she's talking about it, and it's
Right.
like y'all tried to get one, but y'all didn't get one because you know she's a pretty girl. You know she got a nice shape on her. You know she keep her makeup on fleek or whatever the case may be, and you thought that she was going to be more than willing to go across into that other room, and she didn't do it.
Yeah.
So
And
your
so and for
plan backfired. So
the
now she's a
others,
breach of
yeah,
contract.
for the others that refuse too, right? So in her lawsuit, you guys, she's claiming what's happening to her as the CEO's daughter. She's also claiming that she talks about things that are happening to Tory Lanez, to
Mm,
Nicki Minaj. She says also happening to Jay-Z. So maybe that's why he's kind of moved around in his position there. But then
mm.
again, like I told you, Rock Nation is just a third party label of a bigger label. Who's really
Yeah,
behind this takedown? Is all of this because of what Kanye said? That's kind of my thought. Did Kanye cause this uproar?
I think Kanye created confidence into speaking your truth, and they don't like that. A lot of these artists are now starting to, you know, be accountable for their, what I'm saying, their self as
Right.
far as like, I'm this type of person. I don't want to go through that. Fuck the NDA. I'm gonna say
I'm
what I
going to
need to
talk.
say. I'm gonna
Hmm.
talk. I'm gonna speak. And that's what I like about Kanye is that he encouraged confidence in artists to speak up and
Right.
stand up for themselves.
Yeah.
The ones that fell too deep, they like, I like where I'm at. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, Paint
People
Rock
was
says
good.
I'm late.
People,
What did Kanye do? Back when he still had Adidas, he was vocal, made some comments against the J community, and it didn't go well.
he
It
didn't he
didn't
didn't
go
like
well.
he didn't like what Jay Z and them was putting out.
Well,
As
no,
far as
not that
like,
community, not that J community. He made comments against the J ish community.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yes, and that is,
the
and so, and that's why I said, is all of this stemming from that moment? Because
yeah,
everyone connected to him, they seem to have come for. So
yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
okay, we're going to
They
take
came after
everything
him.
from you and we're going to take everybody attached to you. We're going to make you forever pay for having those words that you had to say about one
Exactly.
community.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's kind of
It
nasty work. That's a lot of power. That is some
yeah,
scary power.
yeah,
Nicki Minaj
exactly.
words, she said America should be scared. I mean, I fear people having that kind of power. That's scary.
I mean,
That you could take one
when you
incident
control
that
the news
happened with one
media,
man and take down a whole industry.
you control the news media, you control the music
All of
industry,
it.
all of it. You
You saw
create
what
the
happened with Nick
narrative.
Cannon. You saw
Yeah,
what
you
happened with
create.
Nick Cannon. Yeah. All of it.
Yeah.
All of it.
It
So
it's like they basically saying, I got you by the balls, and there's nothing you could do about it. We
you
can
better
end you
crack some
right
jokes
now.
like 50 Cent and go ahead and um he's Samuel L. Jackson in Django sometimes with this industry.
Mm, mm,
So, because
mm.
he just plays it safe. He stays real safe. 50 stayed real safe with him so that he could continue to do business and do his dream. He finished that book. I have that book on audio. That's a well written book, and now it's about to be a movie. 50 is busy, and he don't have time to have all these interruptions. So if they need me to shuck and jive, you don't have to really
Yeah,
shuck and jive to shuck and jive. You know what I mean? Yeah.
he knew what type of person Diddy was when before Diddy even really blew up.
No problem, Paint.
He had dealings with Diddy. He had dealings with Diddy before Diddy became Diddy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like when Diddy was kind of,
That
took
G
Mary J.
Unit
Blige up
business.
under the
Yeah.
wing and created that image of the hip hop female with the jersey on and all that stuff and
Yeah.
dancing. That was his choreographing.
Yeah.
He was a choreographer for that. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? He brought Mary J. Blige a image that she didn't come into the industry with. He
Right.
created that
Exactly.
image.
He created that for her.
He created that image. The influence of Jermaine Dupri and Diddy on Usher. It was they groomed him. You know what I'm saying? And he was
The
living
voice,
with grown
crisscross,
men.
the whole 9. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was living with grown men.
Hey,
Since a
now you're gonna come
teenager.
and live in this lifestyle of women, women, women,
Exactly.
women,
This is what
women.
you're going to
You
see.
know.
And he told them, too, like, I see some things a kid shouldn't have seen. I was in places I wasn't allowed to be in. I
Yeah.
was drinking stuff that I wasn't supposed to be drinking at such a young age.
And I thought about it. I was like, Ma, how desperate were you for your child to be famous?
Exactly.
Jesus.
And that
Especially, and I know we come for R. Kelly a lot. I know people go so deep, but I'm the woman that interviewed one of the non talked about ex wives of R. Kelly. So I interviewed her while she was living with R. Kelly. And we would talk as she was writing her book and they were not letting her put her book out. And her name was Christina. And we would talk on my podcast on Blog Talk Radio, and we would talk all the time, about she just was so disturbed about adults in the artists' lives dropping off people to work. She never said why, but she was like, I don't like how all these adults are bringing their children to work in studios all the time and they don't stay with them. She never, every interview, she would say that all the time, but she never said why. And now I'm going, oh my, I think I get what his ex wife was trying to say. Like, why y'all leaving the children? There needs to be some accountability. Even Cassie's daddy dropped her right on off to Diddy. Sat there at the table. We've all seen the video. Dropped her right on off. So there needs to be some accountability from the parents also. And-
I think R. Kelly was cooked when he was on Video Soul with Aaliyah.
yeah.
It
They
was
wanted him to answer for Aaliyah anyway. They were always going to come. They were always
they
going to
was
come.
coming for him from that point on.
From that moment on.
They were just building up, a case.
Yeah. They just quietly waited in the background like they did with Sean P. Diddy Combs. But ever since Aaliyah, they were already going to always come for him, for R. Kelly.
Exactly.
There was no hope.
Exactly. They say if he ever get out of line,
This is what we're
what we're
coming
gonna
with.
do.
Hmm.
Same thing with Diddy. It's like he had them people in the mansions and doing what they do. There's a lot of people as watchdogs. They were
No,
watchdogs. That's all they were.
I look now at his obvious. I don't know how he's probably pretty awake by the last week of the trial. I hope he can see his plants because I can almost point to them. Like I've been over I do the broadcast Monday through Friday. You guys, if you want to come in the afternoon around 12:45 p.m. Central, I'm always here about 12:45 p.m. or 1 o'clock, and we talk over the trial. And I could tell you the people that somebody clearly sent them, from Brendan Paul to
I
KK
knew that. I knew it. I knew
to
it. Yep. Exactly.
to Jane and
Exactly.
Mia. It's so obvious that they were sent. And I'm almost suspecting that Cassie was brilliantly sent as well. I just am very disturbed about why they would send her at such a young age. But, people do go into law enforcement really early in life. So that would not be shocking. I know sheriffs that are like 19 years old. So people do go into that field and have an interest for it right out of high school, and they fit the roles for those kind of detective, quiet roles that they need
Type
to
of
send
thing.
somebody in. So
I mean, I follow you on the Cassie thing, but I just think that Diddy has a type. Kind of
that's how they
looking like
get
a
them. That's
J
why it's easy to
Lo, kind
that's why
of
it's easy to trap
light
them.
skin, like yeah. So it was kind of like Diddy, kind of he fell into that one, and by his back in the day, his grooming days of the young men or whatever he was dealing with, the Bieber and the Ushers and all that stuff. When it
Right.
came to Cassie, he never looked at her like a mature woman. He just looked at her like he could control her, and she's gonna do whatever he wants. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And
Hmm.
it got to a point to where when she started saying no, that's when he got more aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
And the blueprint that he was going off of was,
Yeah, I
okay,
agree.
I want to
Agree
capture
with
this
yeah,
footage,
yes,
I want to take this footage, I got this footage, I'm collecting footage, so whenever I need to control the narrative or control the situation, I can pretty much have her do what I want her to do. Otherwise, I'll threaten her to release this to the public.
yeah.
You
And
know what
that's
I'm
the
saying?
main thing that even, that bullying mentality kind of activity that he's being accused of, especially on the stand over the last few weeks, that always has a clapback, because people get tired of it, and eventually they find their power and they make their way to legal spaces, and then there you go. The key thing that I look at when it comes to the $20 million lawsuit with Fat Joe is they are talking less about what Terrence is saying happened. They're really zooming in on the part it's a lot of pages. I think I haven't even read all the way through it. It's hundreds of pages, but where he's being accused of this Jeffrey Epstein activity with the minors. That's the key
Yeah,
thing about this lawsuit
exactly.
with Fat
And the
Joe.
cool part about the whole thing with Fat Joe is that, he was basically manipulating with, just his name itself, his fame,
Right.
because he didn't necessarily have all the money like Diddy got. You know what I'm saying? Or how these other artists use that
He had the
different.
connections, not
Yeah, he had the
necessarily the
connections.
money. Same
He
thing as
has the ways
Epstein.
of
Hmm.
convincing someone.
Hmm.
Of
Gift the gab.
yeah, get with
Hmm.
me exactly.
Hmm.
And I wouldn't even put it past him if he slept with Remy Ma. It's
Hmm.
just type of things that just
Ah,
that
man.
he grew up, a fat kid, you know not having girlfriends like that, to where he started getting
And
this money.
having
So
this
now,
position made him
yeah,
desirable.
exactly, yeah,
Hmm.
exactly.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
just like a normal average urban girl walking down the street and running into somebody with a Lamborghini. It blew away. Blow my socks away. Oh my God. And he's talking to me. Oh my God. I'm flying like that type of thing.
Yeah.
It's easy persuasion.
Yeah.
Easy persuasion that can easily backfire, because a person that's in a state of euphoria, they're basically going with that fantasy, like living that lifestyle or whatever,
Right.
for whatever
Right.
time frame it is. But then when they wake up after the aftermath, and then conscious people with common sense and 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 law abiding knowledge starts getting into their head and tapping in and saying,
Hmm.
you got a case, you wasn't supposed to be treated like this, you could do this, you could do that, you need to seek professional, legal representation and see what they say, get an
Right.
evaluation,
Especially when
and a
he has
consultation.
when they're packed in, and they have the knowledge of some of who the people are, and when they come, people could talk to people and be like, that's something big. You need to go talk to somebody about that. And then when people go, oh, you could get some money from that.
Oh yeah, exactly. And then that's
Hmm.
when they say, "Oh, okay, so now these lawsuits coming years later."
Yes.
They come years later, and people are like, "Well, why you didn't say nothing back then?" It's
Mm.
like I wasn't even in that state of mind. I was thinking I was doing what I was doing, and I didn't realize
Well,
that I was
Cassie,
protecting
they
myself.
believe that Cassie's boldness, jumping up and making that much money, really, really, it more. We believe more will come out. We're going to see a lot more. Here's something else that I wanted to tell you guys that popped up that's making this one kind of highlight. One of the minor does, as they call her, is a Caucasian, and she's a non-U.S. She is not a U.S. citizen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Fat Joe, man, I'm not even gonna lay my prayers in that direction, bro. God wants me to do better with my prayers, so I can't even lend you a prayer for something like that. Dixon says the defendant flew this minor doe into New York City from another country, and then flew her into Miami, Florida. There we go again, Miami. Became obsessed with the adolescent and start to set her up, paying for cosmetic surgery. The adolescent ended up leaving her and moved on to marry a professional athlete. Look at her. She didn't finesse. She may or may not come up. She may not speak. That could destroy her current life. So she may or may not speak up. This is just the defendant, T.A. Dixon, saying what he knows about what Fat Joe has done and how he was even going to give up his own family to go be with this person, and she left him to be with an athlete after he brought her from another country. But she was they're calling her minor doe number 2. And then there's minor number 3. It was a serious relationship also. He's like that teacher that they found having the relationship with. Good Lord. With this one, Fat Joe, T.A. alleges that Fat Joe was in love with her. And was, so minor 3 was the one that he was going to leave his wife for. Minor 2 just dumped him and went on to marry an athlete. Does the athlete know that she's not from the country? Okay, let me get out. That will come up, I'm sure. Says the defendant paid all of minor doe 3's bills, took her overseas. This is RICO. Was going with him to all the tour stops, put her up in a condo. The condo that he put her up in, that's the one they were talking about earlier, was a few blocks from his own house. That is really, really bad. There's no amount of counter lawsuits that Fat Joe can do for this, because they're probably going to do the United States versus Joe. I think it's coming. It probably will come before the end of the week. Whether or not, this is in New York, so then they would try him in New York. And I guess the reason why they will probably try him in New York is because minor doe 2, you guys, was first brought, let me go back to that. She was first brought into the country. The first location that she arrived was New York City. So it will probably be the United States versus Fat Joe. They won't be calling him that. Probably will be. Can't really feel sorry for these guys making all these bad decisions, you guys. So we're going to wrap up. Chef, if you want to share last minute words, let me know. We're going to bring it to a close. We may have lost Chef, you guys. I understand. We don't usually go this long. I'm sorry. I went way over 2 hours. Thank you so much for coming by. Thank you, honey, for the gifting, the lives, the modding of the live. I appreciate that. Everyone that came through, all of those that stuck around. I appreciate you. V, thank you for stopping in. I appreciate you stopping by my live also. Oh, no. Somebody just now finding out about Fat Joe in the comments said, no. Hey, listen. These things are constant. Thank you so much, V. I appreciate that. These things just seem like they're... By the end of the summer, will it be all of their names? When are they going to get around to Rick Ross? Will they get around to Rick Ross? It just seems like they're lumping all these guys into a business that is involving transportation. If the allegations are true, I don't know if it's intentional of the persons that are suing these major rappers, if it's intentional for them to share how this person was transported from one state to the next to do XYZ acts, or they were taken from one country into the United States. I don't know if that's intentional, but that is harming those individuals' livelihood, because they will be looking at life. They will be looking at life, if brought up and charged and found guilty on the higher charges. But, as we kept saying before, innocent. Oh, you still doing that? That is such beautiful hair too, V. You take care of your baby's hair. I love their hair. They think Ross. Yeah, he said they think I'm Big Meech. Why did he say that? Because that's probably the first day. The feds always mention the lyrics in the trials. Y'all notice that they always talk about the lyrics in all these trials, trying to hide what you're doing in a song to be trying to be fresh and say something cool, and that's what makes them come after you in the first place. Yeah, he did. Ross did say they call me Big Meech. Why? Why did he say that? Is that why 50 said, oh, by the way, I'd like to tell you guys a story about Big Meech? So 50 has taken us into one season after another season after another season so we can understand exactly who Rick Ross might be who they're coming for at the end
They
of the day.
called they called Rick Ross in court Bear.
Well,
That's what I
how did
believe.
they name him?
Bear, the Bear. You know, Diddy gave everybody names,
Their names,
and when they
right?
said Bear, everybody just knew it was Rick Ross.
Everybody already understood, as
Yeah.
well as him and Khaled with their connection in business and allegations. These guys are not going to come out of this. You know what? I say this, Brent. As far as they've gone in the allegations, I can't even call these dudes fake anymore. They didn't messed around and became the real deal. They are going to be a blockbuster movie in about 5 more years. They will
Yeah.
replace Scarface. This is the real. This is the real life Scarface going on.
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
they have people caught up in this, can't get out. Is that what you guys caught the main part of what this guy said? He couldn't get out. The man wouldn't let him go live his life. And Heather was here. I don't know if Heather's still here, but how she talked about some of the industry things that she talked about and just working for Diddy. And now that was, if Heather is still here, girl, come share that story again of your time working for Sean P. Diddy Combs, because that is insane. Like, people get up in there and get caught up and want to partake in the candy at the front door, not realizing that partaking in the candy comes at a cost. And then when they partake in the candy, then he says, oh, by the way, you do know you owe me. I saw you partaking for the whole week. You were going back and forth, grabbing you some pills, some rugs here and rugs there. So that's about, from the way that my cameras picked it up, that's about $8,000 that you owe me. Is that how they get caught up in having to do all this stuff to pay their money, to pay back? Oh, I just can't even. Heather, girl, like, ever since you came on the show and told me that story, I've been thinking, like, all the people came in trying to finesse him, and then they weren't giving him actual cash, and then maybe this foolish behavior became, let me get my money back, and what do you have about yourself that I can get my money? And then we start looking at the Players Club. We watch the Players Club unfold. That's the cleanest way I can say it for the algorithm, you guys.
He tried to extort Cassie, having her mom send the
I,
20,000, and when he
you
sent the
came in here and I thought
20,000,
you could sing, and you can't sing, and the industry is not accepting you, and you're going to give me 10 albums, girl. You're going to give me 10 albums worth of activity. It's
yeah,
scary to think that that kind of power is being thrown around.
yeah, that 20,000, and somebody told Diddy like, nah, don't take it, don't cash that check, send that back,
Mm,
send
mm,
that
mm.
20K back, and they
Yeah, no,
sent it
they're
back,
trying to
but
pay
now
off
they
her
just gonna
debt,
go
because
right.
that's really what the mom is trying to tell her story, and she watered down what was really going on. You were trying to pay off your daughter's debt to get her out of the lifestyle. But mom
Exactly.
didn't want to say that, because then that implicates mom, and then she'll be looking at her own need of immunity. So she
Well,
didn't want to
you
say
think
that.
so? I don't think it'll go that deep if she
I
was to
think it
be
will. I think
honest.
with these parents, we can't keep letting these parents get away with this. We can't. We can't.
But if
It's
you
just like the
saying like
schools. You notice how the schools got tired of the incidents at the schools, and they start bringing the parents up on charges? We're there
uh
with the industry. You brought your child to him? Under what cost? How were you this unaware? It's like we have to start really going deeper with the parents' involvement. How are we going to get to the bottom of it, you guys, if we don't call out these parents?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the parents like I don't know. I just think
I
that it
watch that
should
go. You
be.
could go online right now. You
I
could go
think it should
online
be.
right now
I
and
think
look
it
at
should be professional HR involved with any record company. I don't
period.
think that it should be your
Period.
friend. Since you've known this person for 5 years, you can't make this executive something. You can't make this person manage this if they don't have those different qualifications that honor that. You know what I mean? You put these
What
people
job
in
have you
positions.
ever worked where you got caught up in something like that and were not able to come home? None. Why? Because the labor laws. They're all inserted into the business district. Well,
Yeah,
they need to
exactly.
be
It's a
inserted
standard
into the
operating
entertainment
procedure.
industry.
Standard
Yeah.
operating procedures and everything. It's
Right.
like
You get to clock out at 5 o'clock. You see what I'm saying?
exactly.
Like you get to come home for a reason
Yeah.
because there were times when people did try to overwork people,
Yeah, and it's like,
and people
okay, I
did
get
have to
paid.
stay and there was manipulation and coercion and so they had to create laws to protect that.
He said that he went and got my sandwich and he didn't make my sandwich right, so don't pay that motherfucker his check on
Right.
time.
Don't give him
Just pay
his
everybody
check.
else. I pay him when
Yeah.
I feel better.
They had to
That's
stop
fucked up.
stuff like that before, so it's time to insert that into the music industry.
Yeah, Diddy was cold blooded, boy. He was like, I'm not paying you, man. You didn't bring me my water cold enough.
She
I
came,
told you
I'm
to have
telling
the
you, Heather came on
dehumidifiers
my
going.
show. And she said just a couple weeks ago, she said that they would go and if it looks like it's a lot of fun, but then you're like, oh, I'm sorry, y'all went to the sky on you went in and put partake in this and that, had fun, did you have a good time? Okay, well y'all do know y'all owe me, right? That and it's a warning sign for people that go to parties. Just because somebody offer you something, if somebody offers you a glass of wine from a very expensive glass of wine, probably don't take it. There may be something, there may be conditions with it. I think y'all need to
I
be a
think
little bit more
Diddy has
mindful
so
these
much
days.
money. Let me go back a little bit. Diddy has so much money. You remember when you had said, they asked you for your phone, they plugged it in the wall. Remember that?
Um,
And to get the information, right? You thinking that they were. Remember that?
um,
And to get the information, right? You thinking that they were stripping the phone for information, right? Because
right,
he said
or just
whatever
the
traveling
cameras. He's
overseas.
being accused of the cameras being everywhere, so he knows. He always knows.
Yeah, so if he's taking everybody's phone and making them sign NDAs and stuff,
Right.
I'm thinking he probably had equipment that was taking people information off their phones by just letting
Oh,
them know.
he's so powerful. There's no way he didn't have access to that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, he has. He probably has top tier security system, security, in his home.
Exactly. You can pull up all your messages, see if you back biting them, whatever the case may be. See if
Yeah.
you out to get him, checking your emails, all type of shit. While you out there partying, you got somebody and he done sent the information over to a whole different location and they sitting there analyzing everybody.
Yeah.
This person is a police. Oh shit! All right, get him up out of here.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's why I just say if you go back to that first meeting when old boy that was dating Cassie at the time and her dad was sitting there across the table and Diddy's telling the label, this is it, she's a star, she's going to bring, and he made a lot of promises in that meeting and then that did not happen. Everything that he said at that table, if you go watch that video, kind of didn't get that from Cassie. Maybe from the Me and You song, maybe for a brief minute, but they didn't get
Well,
that
but
those multiple
she
albums
had that song
for real.
before she even met Diddy.
Right.
He just blew
When that's
past
why
her.
he brought her, like, she's going to give me all this greatness. And then she wasn't bringing it. He has an ear for talent. We got to give the man credit for that. So she wasn't bringing that talent. And then she got herself caught up in whatever behind the scenes this lifestyle is when people don't bring the talent.
See, Diddy has a thing to where he can actually bring talent out of a person. I believe she had the talent, but
Oh,
he
but she
had
was
limitation. He
mouthy. She was
limited her
talking
talent.
back.
He
Yeah.
limited what he would do for somebody else. He didn't do for her because he had another objective. He had plans for her. He had plans
Maybe I
to get
think
with
that
her.
she messed herself up. When I look at the old Cassie videos when they were doing the band thing and all that, I think that she used to always brag and say, I know I have a mouth on me. I talk crazy to him. I don't let him talk to me like everyone else lets him. She was always trying to show that she was, you even see that moment when he's with Young Miami where he's like, watch your mouth. When Young Miami's trying to tell him you better do XYZ, and he looks at the camera and he's like, you better watch your mouth. And Young Miami got quiet real quick and looked down at the ground.
Yeah,
I think he
yeah.
has this thing with women, even Gene Deal talks about how he would have to correct him because he would talk to his mother in such a way that he like, don't talk to your mom. You guys know. You guys know. Okay, so now I have to get out of here, but we'll come back. This one won't go away because it's being added to the narrative. So we'll come back and talk this again on Monday.
All right.
This will be fit in as we cover the Diddy trial. Get going to the defense doing their presentation, and then we'll look at the closing arguments and the jury and how long they'll take to get a decision back. So thank
All
you for
right.
coming on, Chef. I appreciate it. Let me make sure I'm following you. I
Most
didn't check
definitely.
to see. I should be following you. Okay, following you back right now. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for contributing to the conversation also.
Absolutely. Anytime. Take
No
care.
problem. Thank you. All right. Thanks to you guys. Thank you for coming by. Everybody that did come by, V, I appreciate you. Brent, I appreciate you. Chef, I appreciate you. You guys gave a lot of great comments, lots of input. Heather, thank you for coming back again. I saw you. Paint, thank you for your comments. Jesus, you came by for a minute. Thank you. Eve, thank you for coming by. Thank you for your comment. Thank you for sharing that. The clips, thank you for that. Clips, thank you for that. Sir, Unique, you were sharing the live out, following you back. Thank you for doing that. All right, you guys, I appreciate you greatly. Please do follow the host. YouTube link, you can get a full recap of the conversation on YouTube probably by tomorrow. Get the highlights. Some of the highlights we'll post up today, but most of the highlights will be in full by tomorrow for the conversation. I appreciate each one of you. Please do come back, and I will engage on your platforms throughout the rest of the day. Thank you so much.